Sweet Angel Child Care.
We're in the middle of a strip mall here inside of this neighborhood.
Like, this is also, it's a goalpost shifting. If your primary argument is that there is no children at these kindergartens, okay, at the child care facility, but then we find out through, you know, further investigation, at least conducted by the Department of Human Services in the state of Minnesota, that there are actually children there, but the specific facility has met some criticism and in the investigations are for licensing criteria, okay? And you turn around and say, why are you defending the lack of adequate childcare in the facility? No, I'm not defending that, but you're changing the goalpost. If my argument here is about like a proper investigation being conducted on a very serious crime, a very serious criminal accusation, okay? And that the main point of contention that they're driving home is just immediately disproven, you can't just shift the goalpost to a separate problem, okay? Because this isn't just like a fake investigation that was being conducted. This is a shitty investigation that was being conducted that got retweeted by the vice president, okay?
In fiscal year 2025, this facility, which has its license for 74 kids, was paid $1.26 million in tax money. And there are no kids, and all the facilities are the same way, all of them.
Let's see if anyone opens.
Yeah, let's see.
Once again, I try to find a spot for my son Joey. They would not open the door. I want to put my son Joey in daycare. Because I need...
Dude, I'm gonna be honest, like, you could have literally done a better job with this. Even like Nick Omalana, right? Nico Omalana does a much better job with this kind of stuff. He's not a fully fleshed out investigative reporter, but like he does shit like this all the time, right? But it requires a lot of setup. You can't just like roll up with a phone camera and just or roll up with a crew, okay? Sorry, Nico Omalana. And be like, oh, I have a kid, open the door right now, I have my child with me, I have a child. Like, no, like, if you want to do a proper investigation or even a better YouTube video on this, actually set up a fake child, okay? Actually set up an interview, put a secret camera on your chest, go inside and have a proper conversation, figure out whether or not there are actually
this only
whether or not this is a
alerts them that
legitimate
somebody
business.
might be onto them.
Do you guys understand my
This
point
at
here?
the best
I hope
helps
people
them.
understand what I'm trying to say
So at the
here.
worst, it helps them.
Rolling up like this is obviously not going to lead to any sort of real information. You're being naive because they have people in the government working for them in Minneapolis. Okay. Once again, that is a far bigger conspiracy now. And in order to tackle this conspiracy, there is a proper way to investigate it. Then you go to the authorities. Here, I'll explain it to you. We just looked at the licensing board, okay? He went to that place. He claims that there's no children. He couldn't go inside. He yelled outside of ABC Learning Center. What you're supposed to do is call up ABC Learning Center. ABC Learning Center obviously has many different locations all around the country, okay? It's a chain. You call up the chain. You say, hey, I went to this location. I wanted to actually see if there's any slots available. I have a child. I want to have them go to ABC Learning Center. It's close in proximity to my work, you know, yada, 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 okay? First you properly investigate whether or not ABC Learning Center is actually has children in it or not, or if they're even available for taking on new children at the ABC Learning Center. Then, if you actually have suspicion that there are no children there, even though it says that the state licensing board has shown that the total capacity is 40 children, but there's no children there, then what you're supposed to do is go to the Department of Human Services, okay? Then you're supposed to try to figure out exactly who conducted the investigation, who conducted the licensing investigation in 11/7/2025, okay? You go and you figure out who actually conducted the licensing investigation or the interview in 11/7/2025, and then you try to interview them. You say, hey, I went to the ABC Learning Center. I called up the ABC Learning Center. They said that there wasn't actually any children there, but you clearly saw some children. Can you explain to me what happened? If you want to have a private camera when you're conducting that investigation, even that's fine if you want to do that. But the problem is, that's conducting a real investigation, and this is not that. Do you understand? Even Project Veritas has a higher standard for the malicious reporting that they engage in, and that's a propaganda operation tasked with doing hatchet jobs. We've actually devolved. Even our right-wing slop merchants have gotten worse at doing this kind of hack shit.
A spot to put my son Joey.
Yes.
Is this your daycare center?
No, what's there? What's happened?
But I just want to put a child in daycare, but all the daycare centers seem to be closed. No one's opening the door.
He's like directly looking at the camera. He's like, what the f are you guys doing here?
You work here?
Wes, yeah. What's happened?
Where are the kids?
Yeah?
It says it's licensed for 74 children. Right here, state of Minnesota. Where are the kids? They got paid $1.26 million in fiscal year 2025. It says that they have a capacity for 70.
All right, we're looking at this one as well. Licensing lookup. This is the other place that they went to. So the first one that we went to, ABC Learning Center, it didn't actually have like the claims that they made where there were no children there. That obviously doesn't. That is obviously not correct, right? At least according to the Department of Human Services. Now, if this conspiracy goes all the way up, now we're looking at Sweet Angel Childcare Inc. Okay, this is the other place that they went to. Well, right before their visit, and I assume they didn't just like visit, you know, on the 25th or whatever when this video was published. I suspect that they visited, let's say, a week prior to that on the 15th or something, right? Well, there was a Department of Human Services visit that took place with Sweet Angel Childcare Inc. And the facility had hazardous objects that were accessible to children. This literally means like scissors, for the record, before you put it out. Children did not have access to personal hygiene products, and the correction documentation has not yet been submitted because the licensing review took place literally, 24 days ago. Okay, just so you understand. Children do not have daily access to all interest areas. The program did not comply with first aid training requirements, and the program did not comply with CPR training requirements. Okay, a lot of these facilities are substandard for sure, but you need to understand the main claim being made here is not that the facilities are substandard. The main claim being here is that these facilities are actually lying, that there's no children there whatsoever. Now, if there is truth to the fact that there are actually no kids there, but it seems like the Department of Human Services, okay, children did not have access to daily interest areas. Children's hands were not washed with soap and water. Oh yeah, health practices. Children's hands were not washed with soap and water. This seems to me like there are kids there. Okay, the facilities are substandard, but it seems like there are kids there. Okay, the main claim that they are making is that there are no kids there. Okay, this is not a defense of the substandard conditions in this daycare, for the record. This is simply countering online without even going there the arguments that were being presented by Nick Shirley. This is now not one but two different facilities that they've gone to where they claim that there are no children there and they can't go inside, and then they just simply say there's no children there. Okay, there's no kids, bro. Okay, so here's the thing. If there are no children at these facilities at all, okay, then this is a much larger investigation. There needs to be an investigation conducted at the federal level in the hands of the FBI.
Sam Cedar, Emma Vigland on the Majority Report. Want to welcome back to the program Will Sommer, senior reporter at The Bulwark, author of the False Flag newsletter. And Will, I guess we're about 2 weeks away from Christmas, or somewhere around there, and it's almost as if like Christmas started significantly earlier for you, based upon what has been going on. This is extraordinary. Give us sum it up if you can, because we have 3 hours a day, and I still feel like we can't fully explain this or capture it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so right now there is kind of this massive right-wing civil war that is going in a lot of different directions. But kind of the hottest part at the moment is the fight over Candace Owens. So Candace Owens, PragerU, former Charlie Kirk acolyte. Now she's this massively successful YouTuber, and she has been really making grist out of the Charlie Kirk murder for 3 months now. I mean, she really got into these conspiracy theories and has sort of had the field to herself. And finally, in the past 2 weeks, people like Tim Pool and now Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's widow, have said enough is enough, and they're trying to stop her. And let's just say, I don't think it's working so far.
No, it doesn't seem to be. But let's it is fascinating because it really feels like a snake eating its own tail at this point, and it's doing it with the sort of let's play this Tim Pool responding to Candace Owens, okay? And I think we played maybe in the past couple of days what Tim Pool is responding to, but Candace Owens has been and Tim Pool went at it. Tim Pool claims that he was shot at, his compound is shot at. Now I've been to his compound. I am shocked. There's only one road that goes by it. It's in the middle of nowhere. I'm shocked that there isn't like.
And we figured this out yesterday that it's deer hunting season, like literally right now down there.
Yeah, gun season started at the end of November.
Okay.
2 years before this, he also complained about people shooting at him at this exact same time of year.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I didn't realize that. That's amazing. So he claims he shot at, and he got very, very indignant about it. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen Tim Pool as mad, except for like when maybe when Emma went on his show and sort of embarrassed him a little bit. But I don't know if I've ever seen him more mad than that. And Candace Owens just calmly pulled him apart in her video. I also should say I think she's a lunatic. But here is Tim Pool responding to her. This is clip number 15.
I've gotten a bunch of emails, shocking revelations. And I've gotten people coming to me and talking about what she really does. And I want answers. I want answers. Who's she working for? Who is Candace Owens working for? Don't you think it's a little weird?
Can you? I'm sorry. First of all, I just have to say, shout out to Nathan Robinson. That's the current affairs piece that he wrote that Tim is reading from. So, secondly, he's copying her. Yeah.
That's the point. I mean, so
he's
Will,
doing the cadence. Yeah.
He's almost verbatim copying what she said. But the problem is, and I want you to speak to this. We know this because we follow this stuff, but most of his audience probably doesn't know that he's doing a satire because this is what he's doing every other day of the year.
Yes, I mean, the idea that Tim Pool will now play the character of a maniac who is like paranoid and convinced that there are threats around every corner. I mean, as you said, that's what he talks about all the time. He's trying to fake the funk here. I mean, he's kind of trying to steal her charisma and kind of talk slowly and raise these questions. I mean, he's really just kind of riled up after this supposed shooting on his property, which, by the way, he won't give the police the surveillance video. It makes you wonder.
Yeah, but did he even report it?
So supposedly he did report it, but he said he won't get. TMZ reported yesterday that he hasn't given them the surveillance video because he doesn't want to reveal where the cameras are located. But if he won't give that to the police, I mean, that seems a little weird to me. It may very well have happened, but this is kind of the inciting incident for why Tim Pool has gone so crazy with this stuff.
Well, how do you? Wait, he won't give the surveillance. I mean, why wouldn't you give the survey? Because he's got a gated thing. He could put the cameras behind the fences, and if you have like a, I don't know, like a Nest Cam or something like that, it stores the information on a hard drive that nobody can access, even if they were to pull the camera down. This doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't really. I mean, why? Again, I mean, he doesn't want to reveal the location of the cameras. Can you move him to a different tree after that? I mean, does he have his own? Is the Timcast crew going to take care of this on their own without the police? You know, who knows?
Let's go back to though the real incitement for Candace Owens was Milo Yiannopoulos appearing on Tim Pool's show. And Milo, will you just give people like a slight history of Milo Yiannopoulos? Because this guy seems to be like burning everything down, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, Milo's really on the loose these days. I mean, he's this kind of longtime right-wing provocateur. He's a British gay guy. The amount of like how
Isn't
gay
he
he
ex-gay?
is kind of
I mean, to be fair,
you know, he got really into the ex-gay stuff. He did like even kind of like QVC Catholic stuff where he would like sell rosaries and stuff. But now I think it's more a little vaguer, like how gay he is these days, at least publicly. He's living with the guy who founded I believe American Apparel in like a mansion in LA. It's like very run down.
Now this is not his husband, because I know that he broke up with his paramour. I'm not sure what their legal status was. They broke up and just became roommates.
It's
when
sort of a
he
rogues gallery.
left gaysness. Yeah, I guess when he decided to convert.
Yeah, I mean, he goes through a lot of identities and sort of angles as a right-wing character. But as you said, I mean, he has this kind of reputation historically. Every few years, he'll say, I have everyone's secrets on this hard drive he calls the vault, and he'll threaten to give it to the FBI, or he'll say, you know, I'm going to give it to X person and they're going to reveal everyone's identities or secrets. And in this case, you're right. I mean, he's really on a tear here. He's kind of affiliated with Candace. He's going a little further than her. He's saying, you know, where did they bury Charlie's body? Suggesting, you know, something nefarious happened there. But as you said, I mean, he's really, you know, trying to attack people like Benny Johnson, for example.
Well, I want to get into Benny Johnson, but just with Milo, people should remember that he was really sort of like at the pivot point of Gamergate, because he was writing for Breitbart under Bannon's tutelage at that time in the run-up to the 2015 election, and he, more than probably any single individual, made Gamergate into a thing. And that sort of like drummed up the men's right activists. I mean, it was the sort of the precursor to all of this, it seems like. Milo, I wonder if you ever caught this too. He was on, the last time he was on Tim Pool, accused Ben Shapiro of essentially buying all of his audience years ago when there was that big Facebook buys that they were doing. And he said, like, this is the way it works in right-wing media. You fake it, you fake it until you make it. And
shout out to Jose, who just did a great video on Ben Shapiro and looked into some of those claims about and how his engagement is so much lower than these other right-wing. His views may look good, but his engagement is very, very different than equivalent right-wing YouTubers who are getting a lot more attention. So it lends credence to that theory, Sam.
Have you, so, well, you've been following this stuff for a long time. Have you ever seen it this sort of, like, inward facing?
No, I mean, I've never seen sort of a, you know, sort of circular firing squad or the just amount of enmity there is on the right, especially because it's not like they're really fighting over a politician. It's not like someone loves DeSantis, someone likes Trump. I mean, they're just going at each other. The administration's kind of sitting off to the sidelines. You know, everything like obviously Nick Fuentes, the Heritage Foundation ended up in their own trouble with that. I mean, it really is like the vibes are just really awful right now. And you can see it with things like, again, Milo just kind of trying to take people out sort of for no reason, just because he feels like it. So a little chaos. You got Candace Owens. I mean, it really is everyone sort of turning on each other. And, you know, as you mentioned, Tim Pool is furious.
Why do you think this is happening? Oh, I'm just curious. Why do you think this is happening? Because it for the most part, it feels like the way that they have succeeded is by, you know, sort of like feeding off each other. And it feels like maybe like Crowder was the first sort of like incident where he had his big con thing, was the first time that we saw this. And is it that they're making enough money that they're independent now and they see each other as rivals, or what is it?
I mean, I think it's a couple things just in the past couple months. I mean, one, I think the Charlie Kirk assassination was a big deal. You know, he had kind of a way to keep people out of the GOP, or at least to sort of take someone like Nick Fuentes and say, like, okay, you're going to be over. You're not really going to be the public face of the party. And he was also just friends with a lot of people. And so, but with him gone, I think there's this kind of power vacuum. So a lot of people are seeing themselves as kind of, I should step up and take his mantle. And frankly, I mean, take the money, you know, that's now on the table. So I think, and then, you know, the other aspect is that Trump is on his way out and he's being seen as kind of a failed president. He's not getting done what they want. And so you have to kind of then start positioning yourself to 2028. And as a result, you know, people are kind of picking out their positions and fighting over that.
And I think it's important to also just linger on the Charlie Kirk thing for a second. The more, you know, Candace Owens is off on her own and she's making a ton of money. She's immensely popular, right? But you have guys like Tim Pool who, I think Tim, he talked a little bit about how, you know, he's making new relationships. It seemed like he was cozying up a little bit to the Daily Wire. We heard the reporting that he met with Benjamin Netanyahu, and he didn't have that money anymore from Edward Gregorian and the Russians. It's dried up. So, like, he's looking to align himself and continue to make money in this ecosystem. Candace doesn't have to worry about that. She's like an operation into herself. So with these other right-wing personalities, they're trying to use the Charlie Kirk death in their own way for the Republican project. But Candace isn't doing that. She said literally, I don't care about the midterms. She's doing this and exploiting it in her own way with this like level of emotionality. I keep giving my husband credit for this point because he was a great point about Alex Jones and how they're similar because they tap into people's like lizard brains about this stuff with their like passion and performance. She's very much like a female Alex Jones. Her incentive structure is very different than the rest of these Republican influencers, and I think that's part of why they're so mad at her.
Yeah, I think that's a great point from your husband. I mean, I think you watch it and you kind of like lock in. I mean, at least in the beginning. I mean, I think she started to kind of have some retreads. But I talked to this one right-wing personality and I said, you know, God, what do you think of what Candace is doing? And within a week of the assassination, she's spinning all these conspiracy theories. And he said, I'm locked in. I mean, it's fascinating to watch and it's kind of a high wire act. I mean, it also, I should say, if you watch it, I mean, it can be, you say, wait, why are we talking about MK Ultra? We're talking about Iran-Contra now. And, you know, these guys have the same last name. I mean, she just sort of weaves this web that I think a lot of people are buying into, you know, even though it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But it's interesting you mentioned the midterms thing. I think she really angered a lot of people. I guess it was still in the past week when she said, I don't care about the midterms because Tim Pool said, you're going to mess up the midterms. And she said, I don't care. They murdered my friend, which I think for the audience is a much more compelling thing than, okay, we have to win a majority in the House again. But, you know, I think that really, when you kind of start touching the money, start touching the power, that sets a lot of people off on the right. I mean, I think back to the 2028 special election in Georgia, when Lynn Wood, who was so crazy and he was so into QAnon and everyone loved him, they didn't mind that. But as soon as he said, you know what, the elections are stolen, who cares about voting? Then suddenly they were like, whoa, you're going too crazy for us, man. And I think a similar thing is happening here.
I mean, when Tim Pool says, you know, that she's going to ruin the midterm elections, what is your sense of that? Because it seems to me, to the extent that there's going to be any implications for the elections, it's going to be because Turning Points maybe is getting less funding, maybe but that seems to be a function of like Charlie Kirk was the face of Turning Points. I mean, even to the point where this guy is lauded as a free speech hero because he goes on campuses and debates college students, yet the organization, the first thing that they ever did was basically set up a portal to report your professor and to drum professor, put them all on blacklists, which apparently the media has completely memory hold. But now that he's gone and you've got those I don't know, the troika or whomever it is that's doing a show one of whom is Blake Neff, which I didn't realize. He was the guy who got fired from Fox News because he was posting on white supremacy sites and putting white supremacy memes into Tucker Carlson stuff as if Tucker needed that type of help. But what is your sense about what's going on at Turning Points?
I mean, I think Turning Point is really struggling to respond to this. I mean, on one hand, I think they still have a lot of, wealthy donors who are willing to fund them. On the other, I think sort of with the grassroots, I mean, obviously after the assassination, there was this real sense, I think, among the average conservative or, right-leaning independent that, Turning Point was so wonderful and this was kind of Charlie Kirk's mission. But since then, and I think the Candace Owens stuff has had a lot to do with this. People say, oh, these guys covered up their friend's murder. I mean, it's crazy stuff, but every tweet from someone like Blake Neff or Andrew Colvett, who is sort of Charlie Kirk's right-hand man, who's now on the show as well. It's just all these people saying like, when will you reveal, why Charlie was murdered for turning on Israel? And I think that manages to have a real effect. I saw, obviously you want to get beyond just kind of like what people's replies on X are, but even in sort of conservative mom Facebook groups, someone was relaying that, let's buy a bunch of Turning Point shirts or something, and then all these people were saying, I'm not helping those people, they murdered their friend. So I think this Candace Owens stuff is really sinking in with people.
It sort of feels like that. It also sort of feels like, is this created? Do you think that the fact that the killer, the alleged killer, was not the profile that the right would have wanted from a communication standpoint, and we suddenly got this rush of information early on, stuff that we shouldn't have probably heard about, frankly, it seemed to me, in an investigation like that. And then it went dead silent because they realized we're ruining our investigation probably. But that created sort of a vacuum of, it built an expectation of what we were going to hear about this person. Then it all went away. That created this room for this kind of conspiracy theory. And look, I haven't dug into it. Maybe you have, and you're absolutely sure it's wrong. I don't. It's not my beat, but. Do you think that's what's driving this?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see from people like Benny Johnson, people like that, they're not like Candace supportive, but they're trying to say, why is the FBI not creating their own conspiracy theory, essentially? They're getting mad that people like Kash Patel are not like stringing out narrative stuff. Tucker Carlson, for example, said, the FBI needs to be out here answering all our questions. I mean, we know in reality, that's not how the FBI works. They don't sort of, after they've caught the guy, they don't then say, we found something else, before the trial. And so I think because this audience demands this kind of constant feed of content, and they want to learn, well, what's up with the Discord chat? What was up with the roommate? I think on one hand, it's kind of surprising they haven't been satisfied with this explanation because, the trans roommate, all this stuff, you would think they would be kind of happy with the idea that, Tyler Robinson acted out because he saw Charlie Kirk as this figure of hate, that this would kind of fit their narrative. But they really seem to want like Egyptian planes flying around. This is the Candace Owens thing. They want, global networks of assassins, stuff like that.
They sort of have a point in the sense because the FBI did that in the first couple of days, right? I mean, you had the governor coming out there saying this stuff, which is wildly inappropriate. And they basically said, like, they set the expectations, it seems to me, for what they were going to hear. And I guess it doesn't help that Erica Kirk is, she's a performative person. I mean, she just is. I mean, I don't know, and that doesn't mean that that the alleged killer wasn't the alleged killer, but her reactions to it are different than your average person would be.
I think that's right. I think the way she has acted, which involves initially like a lot of, we saw the coffin, soon after, she's kind of grieving very publicly. And then I think understandably from an emotional view, she kind of receded and became much more private. But I think for the audience, they continue to want, okay, well, where is the body buried? Where are these things? I think, she has sort of struggled to take that mantle as kind of a right-wing media personality. Maybe she doesn't want it, but I think particularly now that she's starting to criticize Candace, I think she's starting to be seen as sort of a figure in this and someone who in the past was sort of untouchable, even for the conspiracy theorists. But I think now they're starting to zero in on her. And I don't think it's going well for Erica Kirk or Turning Point USA.
Is she on a book tour now?
No.
For the 2015 election, and he, more than probably any single individual, made Gamergate into a thing, and that's sort of like.
Trump heads into 2026 the weakest he's ever been, and he put that on full display with his final statements during the holiday break. And I've got 3 interviews. Ro Khanna and Robert Garcia discuss major updates with the Epstein files, and attorney Norm Eisen discusses a surprise Trump loss at the U.S. Supreme Court. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen, and you're watching No Lie. The last few weeks of this year have shown us something that we've not seen at any point in Trump's term, and that is an increasingly weak, isolated, desperate lame duck president. The Epstein files have exposed themselves as Trump's Achilles heel, ironically enough because it was his administration, his right-wing media, his allies who groomed their supporters into recognizing that any involvement with Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile ring is a red line. J.D. Vance, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, all of them ran on this idea that they would expose the wealthy, powerful individuals who conspired with Epstein to cover up his heinous crimes. Turns out, the individual who would do the most to cover up those crimes was the guy who they themselves are working for. This week, Trump took to Truth Social on Christmas night, when he was supposed to be celebrating Republicans' hard-fought victory in the war on Christmas, where we can now go into department stores and hear the clerks finally unafraid to utter the words Merry Christmas, posted on Christmas where he tried to distance himself from Epstein by attacking the, quote, sleazebags who attended his parties, which is quite the statement for a guy who very famously is seen in video footage with Jeffrey Epstein at his parties. But it got worse. The day after Christmas, Trump took to Truth Social again, now to write, quote, now 1 million more pages on Epstein are found. DOJ is being forced to spend all of its time on this Democrat-inspired hoax. When do they say no more and work on election fraud, etc.? The Dems are the ones who worked with Epstein, not the Republicans. Release all of their names, embarrass them, and get back to helping our country. The radical left doesn't want people talking about Trump and Republican success. Only a long ago dead Jeffrey Epstein. Just another witch hunt. I don't know how much more on the nose it gets than Trump literally just demanding that nothing else incriminating come out about any Republicans. Like, I wonder who that's intended to protect. I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that a note purportedly sent from Jeffrey Epstein to Larry Nassar, the former women's national gymnastics team coach who also abused young girls, mentioned Donald Trump, or the fact that it was revealed that Trump rode with Epstein on his jet, something that Trump has long denied, along with a girl whose name was redacted. It even became clear that the DOJ was trying to turn the attention onto Bill Clinton by including a raft of photos of him in the first tranche of Epstein documents that was released, with Trump coming out and pretending to like play good cop by then saying that he doesn't like the photos of Bill Clinton, and then of course just letting his own guilty conscience speak by saying, you probably have pictures being exposed of other people that innocently met with Jeffrey Epstein. Again, I wonder who he might be referring to. The problem for Trump is that he's obviously not winning over any Democrats with his protests, and now he's alienating Republicans because the cover-up is so obvious, even his sycophants don't know how to defend him. And frankly, they're not defending him. We've seen a pretty shocking number of prominent right-wingers abandon Trump or call him out over this issue. And that was before he suddenly demanded that the DOJ refuse to comply with the law that he himself signed, merely because it was becoming apparent that his own associations with a notorious pedophile were hurting him politically. Surprise, surprise. And that pain isn't just manifesting itself with his approval ratings, which I should note are at their lowest point of his presidency, about 36%. They're also manifesting in how much power he's able to wield over his fellow Republicans, or I should say lack thereof. Because for the first time, Republicans in Indiana rebuked him when he tried to pressure them into redrawing their congressional maps from 7-2 to 9-0. More Republicans voted against that effort than even voted for it. We're seeing a record number of discharge petitions pass the House, including one just last week that would force a vote on the ACA subsidy extension, despite Trump's efforts to kill those subsidies and to kill Obamacare. In other words, Trump is clearly losing some of his power and looking more and more like a lame duck. And frankly, it comes at a good time for Democrats because what's become clear on the left is that the same tired status quo politics that the Democrats have relied on for decades is not going to work anymore. And we're seeing candidates finally who are younger, more dynamic, more tech savvy, unapologetically progressive, and most importantly, recognize the need to fight back against the Republican Party that has run roughshod over the left for my entire lifetime. Those two things together, a weaker GOP and a stronger Democratic Party, give me some hope for 2026 and beyond.
Agreed.
Next up are my interviews with Ro Khanna, Robert Garcia, and Norm Eisen. No Lies brought to you by Everyday Dose. The holidays are kind of weird because I know we're supposed to relax, but also they're definitely not relaxing. So at this point, I've just kind of embraced the chaos of it all. But part of being constantly on the go is making sure that I have the energy to keep going. I love coffee, but I'm looking for something better. A simple but effective alternative that doesn't take even more time out of my day. Everyday Dose is my new coffee alternative. It tastes just like coffee, but it's enhanced with collagen protein, nootropics, and functional mushrooms, and my gut and brain have never been happier. It takes 30 seconds to make, and I never run out of the ingredients that I need. Everyday Dose is coffee plus benefits. They combine high-quality coffee with powerful ingredients like lion's mane and chaga, collagen protein, and nootropics to fuel your brain, boost focus, and give you clean, sustained energy all day long. It tastes just like coffee, but without the downside. No crash, no jitters, just clean, sustained energy. Get 61% off your first Coffee Plus starter kit, a free A2 probiotic creamer with over $100 in free gifts by going to everydaydose.com/BTC or entering BTC at checkout. That's everydaydose.com/BTC for 61% off your first order. Everyday Dose is also available at your local Target. No Lie is brought to you by Quince. Cold mornings, holiday plans, this is when I need my wardrobe to just work. That's why I'm all about Quince. They make it easy to look sharp, feel good, and find gifts that last. From Mongolian cashmere sweaters to Italian wool coats, Quince pieces are crafted from premium materials and built to hold up without the luxury markup. Quince makes the essentials every guy
commercials went on so long.
The documents. Thomas Massey and I said, well, look, it's probably not a full release, but at least there's some effort at compliance. But then when we saw those...
Here's a beautiful birding act. Congressman Ro Khanna. Congressman, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So first and foremost, your reaction to the fact that while today was supposed to be the deadline for the full release of the Epstein files, what we got instead was some partial release, and even the files that were released were heavily, heavily redacted.
It's disappointment. It's sadness. You know, to me, this is not a game. It's not about politics. It's about survivors that I've come to know. And I had talked to them over the past few weeks. They were so looking forward to this day of finally being seen, having some closure. And in the morning, when we heard the Deputy Attorney General say there are going to be hundreds of thousands of documents, Thomas Massey and I said, well, look, it's probably not a full release, but at least there's some effort at compliance. But then when we saw those documents, we were just shocked. Documents totally redacted. None of the key things actually released. The draft indictment, the prosecution memo, those documents that would show who were the other rich and powerful men who abused these young girls or covered it up. None of the files on the computers of Epstein released that would actually implicate the other people. And, you know, the country's asking, why are you protecting these folks? What are you hiding? Massey and I are ready. We're drafting articles of impeachment as we speak about Pam Bondi and Blanchard. We're not going to drop them right away. They're saying they're going to keep producing things until the end of the year, but we're ready to use them. And we're talking to survivors about showing up again at the Capitol. We're going to continue the fight.
Well, that's some news that you are drafting articles of impeachment for Pam Bondi. And so what is the threshold for actually introducing those articles? What does Pam Bondi have to do or not do for those articles to actually be introduced into the House?
She needs to comply at least with the spirit of the law. Look, the letter of the law, they've obviously violated. They had to get all the unclassified documents out today. They haven't. But to be redacting the entire grand jury when a federal judge has said release them, to not have the names of other government officials and business leaders who are implicated be part of the public release, to not release the draft indictment and prosecution memo, which get to the heart of why there was injustice in this case and why there was a cover-up. They are not trying to be transparent. They are protecting someone. They are protecting rich and influential people who were friends with the president or know the president or have some hold on our government. And you know what? It's not even about Trump. Okay, there were not many mentions of Trump. They're protecting other people here. There are dozens of people who were involved in this cover-up and who abused these girls. Think about it. 1,200 victims. You don't have one person have 1,200 victims. So that 1,200 number is from the DOJ. So why are these people being protected? That's what the country's asking.
And that's exactly the part I want to dig into. There was a note from Fox Digital, and I'm going to put that up on the screen. It says the Justice Department redacted the names and identifiers of the victims. Fox News Digital has learned that the same redaction standards were applied to politically exposed individuals and government officials. Now, I'm also going to put on this screen the actual text of the Epstein Transparency Act itself, which says that no record shall be withheld, delayed, or redacted on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, including to any government official, public figure, or foreign dignitary. And so how can they make up this brand new standard that already unto itself violates the spirit of this thing, but also violates the direct letter of this law?
Well, that was the whole purpose of the law, right? I mean, the DOJ, the Department of Justice, was not releasing this information because they did not want to cause embarrassment to powerful people. And their rationale was, well, we don't release things if we don't charge people. That was their whole rationale. And that's why it took a literal act of Congress to say, no, we want you to release these things, even if it's going to cause embarrassment to people who were in charge, because justice wasn't done, because there was never a real prosecution of these individuals. And 3 federal judges looked at the act and said, yeah, you know what? We didn't order the release before because of reputational harm and the idea that you don't release things with people who are not charged. But Congress now has spoken, so we're going to reverse ourselves and we're going to mandate that you release this. At that point, I thought, okay, certainly they're going to release it with 3 federal judges saying that. And some of it they did release, but they redacted the whole thing and they covered up the names. So this can only lead one to believe that they want to distract with pictures of Bill Clinton. Everyone knows Bill Clinton doesn't have good judgment. I mean, we didn't need the Epstein release to know that. They want to distract with that, and they don't want any of the other rich and powerful men who were part of this cover-up to be exposed. And why does it matter? People say, well, he was dead years ago. Well, it matters because people are sick of 2 tiers of justice in this country. They're sick of an elite that gets away with even things like raping young girls or watching young girls be raped and not saying anything. They are sick of elite impunity. And they think that there's something rotten about these interests that have a hold on our government. And they want it exposed. And that's why this story is not going away.
And the ultimate irony of all of that is exactly the message that the Trump administration ran on. That is what Kash Patel built his brand on. That's what Dan Bongino built his brand on. That's what we heard from Pam Bondi and Alina Habba and all of these Trump acolytes. J.D. Vance himself said we have to release these.
I'm learning that if you go too fast, it crashes. Damn it. I'm learning not to do it too fast. So annoying.
Files for that exact reason, and now not only are they doing the thing that they promised, but they're perpetuating the exact criminal behavior that they once condemned. There's a feeling of helplessness because when you have a violation of this law, the people who would in theory be there to enforce the law are the very people that are violating the law in the first place. And so what recourse is there when you've got the DOJ, again, whose job it is to enforce the law, that's actually the one violating it? That's the one deciding to create, new standards by fiat where they say, okay, not only are we going to not release the full files as was required by this law, but we're also going to create this new standard where if you're involved in government, even though this was a government-aligned pedophile ring, if you're involved in government, we've now given ourselves license to just redact your name from this thing. What recourse is there when the police are the one who are crooked?
Well, the first recourse is public opinion, and that is what moved the bill in the first place. The reality is that Donald Trump thought he would get away with this. He didn't expect that his MAGA base would literally unravel. This is what unraveled Trump. This is why you have 50 discharge petitions. This is what split his base. And the reason it happened is because of these survivors. They came to the Capitol 2 times, and people said, this is outrageous. And they're going to come again. So this idea that justice thinks, okay, this is the end of it, they're just wrong. Watch the outrage when survivors are back and saying that they violated the law and they have not complied. More broadly, people are subjecting themselves to the risk of prosecution. They are obstructing justice. And this is not just about these 3 remaining years. A new administration could prosecute these individuals. The statute of limitations would not have run out. And I'm one of these people. I don't know about you, Brian. My view is, yes, I want healing and reconciliation after Trump's gone, but I want accountability too. Right. I'm not going to have reconciliation without accountability. And if you violated the Epstein Transparency Act, if you bombed innocent people off the coasts in the Caribbean, if you ripped people out of their families as ICE, there is going to be criminal accountability, and that is in a new administration. And then Massey and I were talking about articles of impeachment and inherent contempt. The difference here is you've got Republicans, MAGA Republicans, who may go for this. In fact, someone had shared my video on the prominent MAGA influencer saying, Roe, impeach Bondi. You and Massey should impeach Bondi. So this is not some Democratic issue. I mean, think about it. If you've got 5, 10, 15 Republicans actually leading the call for an impeachment.
It's worth asking here because I think you're absolutely right. This idea that taking the Merrick Garland approach of, okay, let's just sing Kumbaya now and we'll just, achieve peace after that. You need some deterrent effect. People don't just change overnight if there's no reason not to do so. I mean, we saw the extent to which, the people that were involved in January 6th were not held accountable for their actions and began immediately engaging in the same type of behavior because they were given that free pass by Trump. But it's worth asking here, to what degree do you have some concern that even though Trump can plainly see that these people are engaged in criminal activity by violating this law, that he can just hand out pardons and just, basically absolve everybody of their wrongdoing here? Is there any other avenue? Can you talk about civil proceedings or just some other way to counteract what may be the inevitable, get out of jail free card handed out by Trump?
This is why I'm for a constitutional amendment to abolish the pardon power. I believe it's been most abused by Trump, but it's been abused by too many presidents.
Yeah.
But the reality is that we can have groups, including survivors, sue the federal government for release. Congress can support that, and we're prepared to do that. They certainly have standing under the law to bring those suits. And if you're a person at justice and you're a lawyer, you're an honorable lawyer, many of the career folks are, or you're a political appointee, not a Trump acolyte, but you're a Republican, you're serving in the Justice Administration. I mean, that's an awful risk to take, to be having your whole career rest on the whims of whether Donald Trump will pardon you. And even if he does pardon you, it doesn't strike me as that's a great way to build a legal
1.2 mil.
To be the person at the Justice Department who skirted the law because they didn't want justice for survivors to protect rich and powerful men and have a Trump pardon at the end of their name. I don't think that is the way to build your legal reputation. So, look, this has been a disappointing day.
6.236
I've got to be
mil.
honest with you because this meant so much, not just to those Epstein survivors, but the survivors around the country. They finally felt heard, seen.
I'm gonna buy the
Congress.
mansion.
And this is a slap in their face. But we've been fighting this for 6 months. We've been building public support. We defeated the president. We passed a law that no one thought we
9.5.
could.
I'm gonna get there.
So I would just say, don't underestimate Massey or my resolve. Don't underestimate the resolve of these survivors.
I'm gonna
This
ask a
fight will
question
continue until those.
I want to ask a question to the AI. In Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, I currently have a discount for the Michael DLC. How long does that last? How long will I have the discount before it goes away? What day does it go away? Oh, good, I have time. 9 days might be pretty good, okay. $2 million on any mansion property. So maybe I subbed to GTA 5. $9.5. I didn't know how much it was. So 9.5. I need 3 million more, and I've got 700,000 of it. So it's only 2.3 mil more, and I could just gamble that. I could gamble that over the next week, and it's like annoying, but I'll reach the mansion. I won't be able to do anything with the mansion, but it'll just be like out of the way, and then I don't have to make 2 more million.
And Dream Shatterer just shattered the dreams of a bunch of bettors out there.
It sucks I missed the 5 minute, but that's alright. I believe I will eat something. Oh, my kitty's all warm, though. I don't really want to disturb her. She's having a good time. She's just on my... Oh, no, she's getting up. She knows that I'm getting up. Yep. That was warm, huh, kitty? You feel good? I love my blanket. Oh, my blanket's so good. This is kind of slopey, huh? Let's fix it for you. There we go. You got your own little cool thing. I love your little thing that you sit next to me on. You're such a good little kitty. Starfield load still. I don't want to DC. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna go see what I have to eat.
Its files are released and justice is done.
Well, look, I just want to take a moment here to say thank you for the hard work that you and Thomas Massey have been doing on this issue. I know that there are a million reasons not to have done it, especially because, I think it's becoming more commonplace that you'll even have Republicans rebuke the president. We saw that in Indiana. We saw that just a few days ago with this latest discharge petition in the House getting 218 signatures. But your discharge petition in the House was the first instance of even Republicans defying this president, and that wouldn't have happened without this whole campaign that you drove forward here. Against a president who had, at that point, had basically total control. So I think you deserve a lot of credit. I know that, my audience is appreciative of it, and it's important, too, to get some accountability for the survivors here, who I know that you've been in close contact with. So, again, thank you for all the work that you've been doing, and I know this isn't the last we're going to see of this whole saga, but appreciate your leadership on all of this.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for your voice, and you're right.
So never mind. You can own... What are the unique features? There's something really cool when you buy this, but I forget what it is. I'm going to buy the mansion, yeah. I don't know why we're doing this. I would like to leave. Well, maybe I cooked it too long here. grapefruit juice and some green Tabasco. Very healthy meal.
The presidency is unraveling, and that's because of the courage people like you have shown, Republicans are showing. Finally, people are seeing the emperor has no clothes. You can stand up to this president, and you can stand up for American values.
Ro Khanna, thanks so much for your time.
Ro Khanna.
Thank you. I'm joined now by the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, Robert Garcia. Thanks for joining me.
Sure thing.
So we've watched as the Trump administration yet again has failed to meet the deadline that was imposed by the law that Trump himself signed to release these files on time. You've spoken about legal action against this administration. What does that entail, and how is that process looking?
Yeah, we've actually been anticipating this action for many weeks now. I mean, it's been clear that they've been trying to lead a cover-up at the Trump administration, at the DOJ now for months. And I think, look, we weren't surprised. We anticipated that they were either going to do a partial release or not meet the actual law. And so we've been talking with Congressman Raskin, as you know, one of the best constitutional lawyers in the country, and Ro Khanna and others about legal approach. And that is all been worked on over the last few weeks. What you're going to see in the next few days is some action likely led by Tom Massey, which is really important for us that a Republican hopefully leads this effort. But you're going to see efforts to hold Pam Bondi accountable in the Congress. And then you're also going to see legal recourse that will be coming to the courts. And so all of that is moving its way through. And every day that the DOJ doesn't release the full files makes our case even stronger. And so that is all happening. And then on the Senate side, you're going to also see similar actions being taken. So the American public can now see for themselves that they were never going to release the full files. They're overly redacting materials. They're posting stuff about Trump, then removing it immediately after we call it out. This is a White House cover-up, and so there has to be a legal recourse here.
In terms of the second plank of what you were talking about, if the Justice Department is the entity that would normally be there to enforce the laws, how do you basically hold a rogue Justice Department accountable when there's nobody above them to enforce the laws against them?
So I think one is going to the court. The courts have on numerous occasions now really pushed the administration and forced them to take action. Now, in some cases, the DOJ has defied the courts, but in a lot of instances, the DOJ has actually had to comply with what the courts have said. And so we have to use the courts as best we can. Then we've got to use public pressure, which has been happening both in the Congress and outside the Congress. That's a very important piece of this. And then is holding actual members of the DOJ in contempt. I mean, the reality is there can be action taken against Pam Bondi directly, against other people in the FBI and DOJ leadership directly. All these folks need to understand that we're going to push hard to hold them accountable, even in the minority. But you better believe that once we get to the majority and we have subpoena power and the power to actually have the majority to actually push not just laws, but accountability in the right way, they better do the right thing now, because if they don't do the right thing now, that accountability will lock in place once we take the majority.
You know, as it relates to holding Pam Bondi or members of the FBI or DOJ accountable, isn't there always looming above all of this the prospect of a Trump pardon? And is there some way to circumvent that? Like, for example, holding folks accountable civilly, but not necessarily criminally?
Right. I think we are looking at every single option on the table right now as it relates to legal strategy. We have some of the best lawyers, not just that are in the Congress that work for us, but outside lawyers and attorneys that are looking at every single possibility and seeing how the DOJ tries to skirt the law and get around these issues. The Trump pardons are a real thing. We now know that Trump is willing, of course, to pardon anyone. Right. Criminals, January 6ers, folks that have essentially caused massive harm to the American public, stolen from the American public. So he'll pardon just about anybody we know, including, I'm sure, his own administration, which is involved right now in massive corruption. So that is a part of the consideration. And what we're doing also right now is working with the survivors. The survivors have enormous power in what they're doing. They are themselves pushing the DOJ. They came out with a very powerful letter to the DOJ here in just the last day. And so that's all going to continue. We need to get all the files. We got to continue to push. We got to take legal action, and then we've got to hold those DOJ officials accountable.
Looking at this from a 30,000-foot view, you know, it would seem It would seem so outside the realm of logic that Donald Trump would want to voluntarily engage in all of this. Like, this guy knows media, this guy knows entertainment, he understands narrative. If nothing else, that is the part of all of this that he understands. And so he understands the damage that it's doing by subjecting himself to this narrative on a daily basis, this drip, drip, drip of more files coming out, whether it's from the Oversight Committee, whether it's from the Epstein estate, or whether it's some files coming out.
It's not all at once,
from,
so he has like
from the
5
DOJ
weeks of bad
itself.
polls.
But it doesn't make sense on the outside that Donald Trump would voluntarily engage in all of this unless what was actually in the files was worse. Otherwise, why would you want the whole country to assume the worst unless what you're actually hiding, what you're actually covering up, is indeed as bad as everybody would think it was? So can you just talk on that for a moment, this idea that what may be in the files that he's trying so hard to hide, that he's engaged in this 11-month-long cover-up, might actually be worse than you know, just subjecting himself to the daily barrage of this news cycle?
Look, I think there's no question that Trump and the DOJ have completely botched this release. I mean, they're, regardless of the right thing that they should be doing, politically, they're damaging themselves. Their MAGA base is turning on them. I'm talking to Republicans all over here in my back door here in my district, here back home in California, and folks think this is bizarre. If you have nothing to hide, then release all the files. What the issue right now is the cover-up. They're clearly involved in illegal activity as it relates to this moment where they're not releasing the files. They continue to cover things up. We don't know exactly everything that's in the files. We suspect some of the things that could be in there. And what we're trying to get to is just the truth. All we want is justice for the survivors. And we don't care who the powerful men are that cause harm. What Donald Trump should want is he should join us in going after every single powerful man that hurt, trafficked, abused women. That is the goal here. We want truth and transparency for the survivors, and we're going to continue to fight till we get it.
Trump's deputy attorney general, and somebody who I should also add was his former personal criminal defense attorney, Todd Blanche, was on Face the Nation or some Sunday show this weekend and was asked point blank why Ghislaine Maxwell was moved to a different prison, basically Club Fed, a low security prison in Texas from where she was in Florida. And he basically answered that she had to be moved. They're not going to release any information, but she had to be removed for her own safety. Do you buy that story?
Insane. This is crazy what's happening with Ghislaine Maxwell. And so Donald Trump's former personal lawyer has this meeting with her, as we know, a secretive meeting that we know nothing about. And then soon after that, she gets moved to another facility. And just what, this interview just happened a day or two ago. And now in this interview, he finally says that somehow she is moved and he had nothing really to do with it, that it was for her own security. So for her own security, she's being moved to a less secure facility, and that it was the Bureau of Prisons that made the decision, and that Susie Wiles and nobody at the White House has any idea what's going on when she is one of the most high-profile felons in the custody of the government. Give me a break. I mean, we're not idiots, and the American public is not stupid. They clearly, there's a motive here. And what we don't understand is Ghislaine Maxwell today, a monstrous person, human, who's done horrible harm and an abuser herself, is now hanging out with puppies and walking around a less secure facility and having secret meetings with women that we don't know anything about. We're not idiots. There is a cover-up happening. Why was Ghislaine Maxwell moved? What was she told? Was she promised anything? These are the questions that we have. And another thing, James Comer promised us we would get Ghislaine Maxwell to testify in front of the Oversight Committee. Now that she's refusing to do so, he seems to like forgotten about that request. There's pressure from the Republicans to get Ghislaine Maxwell in for a deposition. He wants everyone else in but her, when we know she knows more about this than anybody else.
Would it be up to James Comer then to be able to bring in Todd Blanche to get some answers in terms of what actually happened with Ghislaine Maxwell? I'm presuming the only way there's going to be any answers is if he's asked these questions, under oath in front of Congress. But I also presume that unless James Comer and the Republicans on that committee actually move forward to subpoenaing him, then it's not going to happen.
That's exactly right. I mean, we are. We don't have the majority, right? So we don't have the power of subpoena unless we somehow force the Republicans to join us, and we've done that a few times. But we can't get Todd Blanche in front of us. We can't force Pam Bondi in front of us unless we get the Republican majority to actually move with us. And so James Comer, if he really wants transparency, we should be demanding answers from Todd Blanche, the head of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Ghislaine Maxwell should be in. We should be asking questions of Pam Bondi, the former FBI directors. We wanted to have some of the former FBI directors come in, and James Comer dismissed it. I mean, he just, he doesn't think it's important. And so that work's got to continue. And when we win that majority, the Oversight Committee on day one is going to get answers and get very aggressive on bringing these folks in.
And that's exactly the point that I wanted to discuss. What can you commit to in the event that Democrats are able to win the majority and you become chairman of the House Oversight
Can you
Committee?
give us cops to actually put them in jail?
On the Epstein investigation, all of the folks that we need to talk to.
I think it's going to have to be civil war. I don't think you'll make cops make him go to jail.
Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, folks have been involved in putting the files together, the banks, all of the folks involved. On day one, we'll put out a substantial list and a subpoena of the appropriate people and institutions so that we get all the answers and that we can bring justice for the survivors. And that'll happen day one.
Last question here. To what extent do you think that Dan Bongino's departure from the FBI has something to do with the botched response to the release of these Epstein files?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Dan Bongino is someone that spent a lot of time podcasting and talking about, as you know, releasing the files and transparency. And he sees probably this botched response. All those influencers invited to the White House when they released the files a few months ago, it's a joke. This administration is involved in a cover-up. It's time to bring justice and the truth. We just want the truth, all we want. And Republicans keep saying, oh, aren't you nervous that all these Democrats? I've said before, we could care less. We don't care.
They keep putting forward Bill Clinton as if our red line is Bill Clinton. It's like nobody cares about Bill Clinton. Anybody in the files,
don't care about
left,
Bill
right, or
Clinton.
center, if they've done something wrong, they should be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law.
100%. Anyone that's in the files, anyone that knows anything about Jeffrey Epstein or his activities, we want to talk to.
They'll have to prove that Donald Trump purchased the child.
Thank you.
I'm joined now by
that
the
better
co-founder
be
of
in the
Democracy
files
Defenders
or he'll
Action,
just
Norm
walk.
Eisen. Norm, thanks for joining me.
And then he'll try to kill the
thanks for
Democrats
having
who
me.
did that to
So,
him.
Norm, we all watched as Donald Trump engaged in yet more illegal activity by renaming the Kennedy Center, despite the fact that the statute prevents Donald Trump from being able to vote himself into, onto the sign at the Kennedy Center. You've taken action against him. Can you explain what just happened?
We at Democracy Defenders Action have just sued Donald Trump and the cronies that he's put on the board of the Kennedy Center, plus the Kennedy Center itself, to reverse this illegal action. Federal law is very clear. The Kennedy Center is supposed to be named for John F. Kennedy as a memorial to that president who was tragically assassinated. And you can't have other memorials or material changes to that, including changing the signs. And Brian, we represent one of the trustees of the Kennedy Center board, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. And the Congresswoman
Trump is not a
was
Kennedy.
at the meeting,
Not
and
even
she
close.
tried to speak, and they muted her. They would not let her object to this. The process was a sham. It's illegal, and it matters. It's actually a very important case.
It's a coup d'etat.
For the rule of law.
Norm, can you talk about why you're going to win this case, specifically as it relates to what the board did versus what the statute actually says?
The statute is very specific, Brian, that this memorial is to be known as the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. And it's no small thing for Donald Trump yet again to disregard the will of Congress, to disregard the Constitution, which says that those statutes, the expression of Congress will, must be listened to, and to put his own name on there. It feels very similar to the destruction of the East Wing of the White House. It's an act of desecration. It's an act of self-aggrandizement, and it's wrong. That's why the Congresswoman came to us at Democracy Defenders Action. We also had the Washington Litigation Group. We said we were willing to do it, and she's entrusted us with pushing back on this wrongful attack on the rule of law. Brian, as is so often the case, like all of your viewers, I felt so angry that when this happened. But unlike all of your viewers, I have over 237 legal cases and matters against the Trump administration, including many of the big wins, the landmark wins over the past year that have stopped him. So the good friends at the Washington Litigation Group, my colleagues and I at Democracy Defenders Action, we called the Congresswoman. We said, reporting for duty. And she accepted that offer, and now here we are.
How confident are you that when you win this case, he's actually going to comply? And the reason that I ask that is because he obviously knew that this move unto itself from the very beginning was illegal. He knew that the board doesn't have the ability to rename the Kennedy Center because it's written in statute that it would be named the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, that the board wasn't granted the right or the authority to be able to change the name, and so he did it anyway. He was perfectly content to flout the law. Then, why do you have confidence that even when he loses this case, that he'll abide by the law?
Because we have made him follow the law again and again and again in our cases, even when he doesn't want to. When he said he was going to change birthright citizenship, he put out an executive order that some babies born here are citizens and some are not. No, that's not what the Constitution says. He tried to wriggle away. We went to court. He went to the Supreme Court. We went and got a second order to comply with the Supreme Court, and he's been complying with it. Same thing, he tried to seize control of our elections. We stopped him there. Here's how I know, because we sued on his phony U.S. attorneys. We started with Alina Habba in New Jersey, and the court knocked her out. She tried to keep going. But eventually she was forced to leave. That same theory was used to dismiss the James and Comey cases. We filed a brief there supporting their lawyers. That was successful. So time and time again, when he tried to close down the Voice of America, we went to court again and again to stop him from evading following those orders. We've had many cases like that. In every case, we finally are able to get compliance. We're going to do the same thing here. But I am planning on him cheating if we secure that order. So we've built that into the plan.
What did it say to you that he would engage in such egregiously unlawful behavior? Like, clearly he doesn't have the ability to do this.
Ooh, what's that? It's a heavy,
it's a
heavy
very
rifle.
Third world-esque.
Oh, nice. Yeah, very good.
To not only be able to say, oh yeah, we have the authority as the board of the Kennedy Center to change the name, which they don't, but then to go so far as to say we got unanimous support while they were muting people that were trying to oppose this move, and then coming out and offering a very like Vladimir Putin-esque, oh, we got 100% offering up this illegal, compliance on this illegal edict that we can change the name to honor me, dear leader Donald Trump.
Well, I think Donald Trump still has not learned his lesson. We're litigating over the Epstein files, and we're the first to file FOIA requests, for example, when the shameful deal was cut with Ghislaine Maxwell. Look at the mess that those Epstein files constitute. We're prepared to go back to court to force their turnover if the administration continues to defy the Epstein transparency statute. They never learn their lesson. Every American knows about President Kennedy. Every American has respect for his legacy, and to desecrate that legacy is going to be extremely unpopular. Maybe they thought nobody would figure out a way to sue him, to litigate this, or that nobody would be brave enough. The Congresswoman is brave enough, And we have brought our lawsuit to enforce the statutes that very clearly say this building cannot be called the Donald Trump and the John F. Kennedy Performing Arts Center.
So I'm sure that there were a lot of people looking to sue as the result of this because it's so clearly illegal on its face. Why did you decide that this case was the best one in terms of standing to be able to win?
Well, the Congress said that the Kennedy Center is to be protected, looked out
I don't like the
for,
blading. I'm gonna switch out.
administered by
I don't
its
like the good deeds. I'm gonna
trustees.
put it on the wall.
This case is by one of those
Yeah.
congressional trustees. Congress has given the trustees the power.
Can I ask real quick, can I interject here? How did she remain on the board of trustees after Trump kind of, just basically put all of his lackeys and sycophants and mouthpieces into those positions?
Even Trump is not so brazen as to disregard the statute which says these members of Congress are ex officio trustees. And so he did not attempt to remove the Congresswoman.
Okay.
Just the same, she's a woman who refuses to be silenced. She won't be shut up. They thought they did that by muting her in the board meeting. Now she is being heard loud and clear with this lawsuit.
How quickly do you expect this to move through the court system?
We've now got the thing on file, and Brian, because you and I have talked about litigation a lot this year, we're not shy about moving at a brisk pace. Let's see which judge gets assigned here. We'll look at their standing order. Perhaps the individuals that we have filed suit against will think better of what they've done. I tend to doubt that. And then we'll figure out an appropriate schedule to move this forward. These are issues of first impression. No president has ever thought to put their name on the Kennedy Center before. What's next? The Donald Trump and Lincoln Memorial?
I mean,
the Donald Trump
you say that as a joke. You say all these things.
Washington Monument.
You say all of this tongue in cheek, but I would not in a million years put it in front of him to do exactly that. Last question here: what will it mean to you to watch workers get up on those ladders and use crowbars to pry the letters "The Donald J. Trump and" off of the Kennedy Center?
It will mean that has so often been the case in the democracy.
You are counting your chickens before they hatch. I think this is going to be bloody.
That the rule
I hope
of
it goes the
law is
way
being
you think. You
upheld
seem
again,
naive to me,
that the
Democrat.
Constitution and the statutes enacted under it.
I'll fight him if I have to.
Are being protected by the courts, and that authoritarianism has been rebuffed, as the courts have done in hundreds of other cases, Brian. We've never seen anything like Donald Trump's illegality, but we've also never seen anything like the democracy movement's pushback. And of course, your viewers, your show, independent media, such an important part of that. Look, we're just on the heels of this shameful 60 Minutes scandal where they killed a perfectly legitimate story. That's why we need you and the rest of independent media, and it's why I'm always quick to let you know when we have a new legal action.
Norm, for those who are looking to learn more about all of the lawsuits that you've brought against Donald Trump and his administration and the overreach of this federal government, where can they go?
Democracy Defenders Action.
No, this is a documentary. I don't. Why do I keep hearing a sound? I'm not over... encumbered, I don't think. I believe I'm gonna sell everything I have. I think it's bogging my save down. Yep, I'll put my Astra and my Digipix and my weapons and armor away. And then I will just sell everything I own and liquefy the credits, because keeping it all is pointless. I don't intend on building, and if I do, I can always just go buy the materials. Maybe it might be good to have, I don't know. But I think it's bogging my game down having 45,000 items just sitting in things. I'm just gonna sell them all. Wipe the vendor. In the PC version of Starfield, will having tens of thousands of items bog your game down? Oh, okay. Okay, so I will need to do, yeah, I have tens of thousands. I have to trim my items, I guess, definitely. That's Rescuers. I think this guy gave me like a loot chest that's got a nice item in it, but I don't know where, Starfield, Dazra, this quest gave me Orhim's key. Where does it open? Okay, it's like 13,000 credits, so we can go back to his house now. But I would have to go back to his house now. And so, Boglands Power Station. Unknown. I mean, I like 15,000 credits. I don't care. Like, or whatever. Yeah, so his house was... not the seaweed farm, but... collect samples from altered plants. Sunderstone Depot. Unknown. Hamdani Station, Orhim Shacks. That's where I can't. I can't travel. I can't travel. Oh, I can't travel. Son of a bitch. So where am I currently? Oh, really? All right, I'm gonna have to like walk all the way the fuck back to the ship, which is so annoying. Will Panacea stop this? It's one of those rare times when I really like it to stop this. Did that work? Please tell me it worked enough where I can get out of here. Please go to my ship. Please go to my ship. You're not doing it? You won't let me. Alright, well, let's go to my fucking ship. Damn it, you can't fast travel taking health damage. Is it some kind of bleed? I have puncture wounds, which are severe. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Blend, hydrate, and fed. So I do, but I do have acute lacerations. But if I can find some bed, I won't have to walk back. So we'll go back in there and we'll find a bed somewhere in this Sundered Stone Depot. I like the RP of it. It feels better than Fallout 4. This game is the best Bethesda game by far. My only complaint about it is the looting. Like, the looting's good, but having to go all over for those spaceships and stuff right now is too much. I think there could be way more guns, too. They should add, like, another 20 guns, like Fallout guns. So, if I find a bed, I could sleep. Let's turn on the music, I guess, because I'm not really paying attention, I guess. And I could charge my headphones while I do random stuff like this, because it doesn't really matter. It's not really very intensive, you know? So while I wander around looking for a bed, I will charge my headphones. So, okay, I can't leave till I find, and you didn't give me sound. Did you give me sound? Yeah, you give me sound. But Starfield won't, for some reason. Why? Why not? Well, in any event, let's look around for a bed. There's a bed. Yay. Oh no, maybe they won't let me use it, huh? You won't let me use that bed? Come on. Really? Stupid game. No, you're not gonna let me, because they're not real beds. So stupid. Can I wait through this stuff? Maybe I can wait through this. Let's see what happens. I'll just wait a couple of days and see if my injuries eventually go away. Yeah, like, I'm sitting at the chair, but you won't let me wait? No. Ah, so annoying. I guess I'll just have to hoof it to my ship. I wish you could call your ship to you. Oh. House what? Something house... Oh, shielded lab outfit. Okay. And a positron battery. Oh, game appears to have glitched. Well, let's leave. If I go to main menu, does that fix this? Are you always glitched? Like, if I go into the creations menu... Well, since I bombed out, I don't know, maybe it'll play sounds now, I don't know. Free favorites bundle. Real light Starfield. This mod creates fake inconsistent lighting. And place light sources. Cool. I want it. I want this one really bad. But it's $5, but I definitely want it. New weapons and cosmetics. Okay, real light Starfield, Vigilance, Hawk 50. Well, let's go back in and see if I'm still glitched or if no, don't do that. I want to go back into the game and see if you still glitch or if bombing to the menu fixes it. Hey, maybe it fixes it. I didn't know you could do that. That saves me some time. I've lost some time to that quite a lot. Oops, yeah. No, this didn't work. So, close. Yeah, something about the game just completely screwed up. So, something about those mods, I don't know. It's annoying to me that these games are not, or well, I don't know. How's this going? Are we still moving? No, we are not moving. So what is it that you're doing? You are sitting still? Yeah. So buy, not enough space in cargo hold. Sell. Okay. Oh, you went into the wrong thing. Oh. I need that $20,000 safe. Nice. I wonder if Fortnite 2 is coming, and it might kick the world's ass. There's good promise here, I think, still. There could be a Fortnite 2. There could be a Rust 2. There could be a Fallout 5. There could be an X5. There could be a Starfield 2, or at least, like, no, I mean, there is, like, a 2.0 coming for, or, like, a 1.0, the kind of what they did for Cyberpunk and stuff, Starfield 2.0. There's a new, there's an Elder Scrolls 5 coming. There's a new WoW expansion coming. Disco Elysium was just free on Epic, which is just amazing. You know, I like Overwatch 2 still. Enshrouded is still good, but it's, I don't know, it still didn't pull me in as much as I wish it did. Naval updates coming to Rust, which is like, I don't know if that's supposed to be like, you know, around the New Year's Eve or if that's another month or two. Anyways, I am trying to get into what is it? Starfield. Yeah, Starfield. Go. Is Dragon's Dogma 2 on Games Pass? No, I don't think so. Xbox is selling Dragon's Dogma 2 for $30. Please help us improve Google. How to do multiple times a day. How much do you trust Google? Completely. Google search? Yeah. I'm starting to make so much passive income. I should just go back to the casino. It sucks that I wiped out. I should just go to the casino from here. It's fast enough. Just go back and keep horse racing until I have the Michael DLC, which is funny. And then eventually I'll have all of it. I'll just crap out. I will cap out Grand Theft Auto 5 like right as 6 launches or whatever. It might even be another year or something. So I'll buy all 3 mansions. I'll buy the, you know, all the stuff. Dragon's Dogma 2 torrent is not. Optimization. One day, Dragon's Dogma 2 will be worth like $20 and I will buy it, but until then I'm not paying more money than that. It is $30 right now and I really... I like Dragon's Dogma 2, but it's still not good enough of a game, unfortunately. It's not my style of game. I like the burning in it. Or sorry, the spells. Destroy product that belongs to motorcycle clubs. I want to enable pacifist mode. I don't wish to be killed on the way to the casino. Put my car away. And quick GPS to the casino. You can't go to the casino. That's... Oh, there we... No, wait. There we go. Yep. And then just... I need to buy the MOC, which is the Mobile Operation Center. Because there's like guns that I don't have. But I mean, the game is unlocking over time. I like the seasonal stuff. I didn't know it had that. love X4. So glad I found it. It is a Monday. I don't have to do shit tomorrow, so I'm going to stay up late. Oh, yeah.
Ready to fill that void in your soul for a moment? Shop for the hottest new fashions at the casino store. I love my kitty. She likes her pad. Her pad's really comfortable. Oh, I'm in, huh? Nice. See, game's running better. I think actually a bunch of this stuff is caused because of my items. I think I'm just gonna fix it now, but I need to just get back to my ship, and of course I can't get back to the ship because I want to get back there immediately. So of course I can't get back there. The developer found some way to fucking irk me. you know? Not being able to travel when you're bleeding is fucking terrible. That's just it's antithetical to like gaming. It's stupid. Antithetical to gaming. Guess I've got to go out and set a... So, okay, I'm going southwest, which is... Southwest. This terrible, terrible jetpack. You gotta fix this jetpack. Gotta fix the flashlight, gotta fix the jetpack. This flashlight is fucking pathetic, pathetic. Look how fucking bad it is. It shines up like a 3-foot fucking space in front of you. It's so terrible. The light's strong, but it's not strong enough. For how dark the game is. Something happened with the lights in this game where just the flashlights aren't working right. It is cool. That's a new weapon. I'm happy with it. Where did I go? I wish she would sell a lot of med packs. It's kind of annoying that she doesn't. $4.4 mil. Oh, thank God. Huh. Tomorrow I continue deep cleaning my house. Tomorrow's my bathroom. And then the day after that is my living room. And then the day after that is my kitchen. But I'm like deep cleaning this house, every inch of it. I'm throwing every last bit of everything that I don't want to weigh. I'm just like, you know, I'm like deep cleaning, really changing this house. Okay, I wanted to go to the Dragon Fire, and I did get sucked into Dazra, and Dazra is cool. I do like Dazra, but I wasn't really intending... Those are all side quests, and there's like a Dazra house one. I've been meaning to kind of get away from Dazra for a little bit here. I want to go talk to him at the trade authority. Oh no, I have contraband. Right, oh right, I needed to deal with my items, I forgot, so we'll go do that. Yay, fast travel. I want a doctor. Is there a way to get a mobile doctor? Starfield, is there a way to bring a doctor with you? Make Rosie a real doctor, yeah. I'll take Bouncy Blast. Okay, now I'm gonna go take care of all the items I have because they're not helping me. And if I need something, I'll just get it again. All this ammo too, I'm gonna start over again clean, so... In this box, I'm gonna put... all of the weapons that I use... Oops. All of the weapons that I use, like the top weapons, I'm gonna put all these top weapons that I use down to like the ones that I don't use, and then anything else I may have favorited. That Nova Blast. The gang's all here. So then, yep. Then spacesuit wise, Mystery Gravis. The container is at max capacity. Okay. Come over. And I will dump everything else into this one, the, yep, that tank. Or, well, let's go back. And we will take, and put the Gravis suit. No pack, no helmet, No apparel. Throwables, I guess we do want the impact grenades, this CCDs, and the skydrop flares. In ammo, we want like some of this. Like I want a little bit of it. Yeah, like 1,000. I'm gonna sell all the rest of it though. All these thousands of ammos though, they're not really worth it. I'm just gonna go through and make sure that we got enough here. I think we did. I'm just like making sure I didn't miss anything. I think those 40 millimeters, I actually want all of them. Yeah, we'll just make sure. Oops, 20 millimeter particle rocket. I've not seen those before. And the laser cartridge. Some of it's stolen, is it? Yeah. And then the 27 caliber. I just want to make sure I have enough of it. 43 Ultra Mag, enough of it. 50 caliber stainless, enough of it, enough of it. And then we're gonna exit and hopefully it doesn't crash me. Oops, no wait. So yep. Then I believe that's everything. Oh no, and then I also need to drop Astra and Digipix. Astra, 101 Astra, Digipix, but all the rest of it is totally fine to sell, I believe. Yep. And so, yep. And then we will come out. Astra, Digipix. That's it, though. I believe that's everything. And I will save here before I sell so we can always get back to this place. Yeah. And then I want to delete. No, my saves are okay. Then in here, there's nothing. In here, there's Watchtower intel. Yep. Okay. Anything Watchtower, I wanna take out and put away. I think I lost a lot of this stuff that I stored, which was really stupid. I should have just sold it. I didn't know how the game works. Money's always better. Money's the best. So somewhere along the line, I kind of became like a whale where I just like, I value money more than anything else. It's sort of dumb and I don't like that. Just specifically because you can just store it. You can store it. Yeah, and all that other stuff. Yep. So, okay, now we come over to here. And we sell all of the weapons. What is a titanium Nova Blast? That's actually something I didn't have, so. That titanium Nova Blast is good. I want it. So. And next we come back here and we go to weapons, refined maelstrom, spacesuits, packs, apparel, helmets, throwables, cryos, maybe a lot of frag grenades might actually be pretty good. Particle grenades are probably better, those special. That shrapnel's way better, though. Yeah. And these Tesla pylons, I won't use them. Nose can go to the kid, but all of this stuff. All of that stuff. Also, I want everything you've got too. Yep. So I want to take all of it. So. Yep, and then I'll put the ship parts away, but not as many as I had, because they're taking up way too much space. Ship parts. Aid. Ship parts. I will put away like 25 of them. The rest of them I want to sell. They're too big and all that stuff. So, save. I think we're already making really good progress. So now, sell the ship parts, all that stuff. Now I'm going to go to the bottom. Oops. All the way to the bottom, this stuff doesn't mean anything. Look, the game's getting better already. I can feel it. Resources. I don't think I need any of this stuff. I can always buy more. It's all just crappy No Man's Sky credits that don't really mean anything. This was about 1 million credits. It was probably 10 million credits if I had just sold it when I got it. I'm learning to store things isn't worth it. I'm gonna adopt a new like a new policy in the future where every single time I go to town, I sell everything that I have that isn't meds, the best weapons, the best ammo, and then I just sell all the meds. I sell all that, and then I buy all the best meds with the money. Yep. Oh man, the game's getting better as I get down this list. It's awesome. It doesn't want to track all this. The game's good, but it's not ready to even, like, do the stuff that it's promising, kind of. It's crazy. But in time, it might be better. Maybe a sequel. I have so much stuff. This sucks, too. This sucks. Like, I should have done, like, Wait, no, I want to go back. I did something wrong here, actually. I guess I did kind of jump the gun here. I jumped the gun, like slightly here, I think. Pretty as a pistol, huh? Oh. Before I do this, I will actually go over to the research bench and try to get all that done first. Because I do have the most resources I've ever had in the game. Missing requirements. Okay, pharmacology, food and drink, pharmacology. Weaponry is the one I'm mainly interested in. I don't think I see anything. See, I'm not too worried. So yeah, so okay, none of that mattered anyways. I guess I do get to sell everything, so never mind. None of that mattered anyways. I don't like their research system at all. It's fucking terrible. Anyways, we are selling resources, a lot of them. 32,000 pounds of them. And we need something, you buy it, and when it's like really stands out, you store it. This will speed up my game. It'll probably speed up the load, honestly. Too. It'll probably speed up the load a little bit. That was 600 pieces of gold. There's so much pointless stuff. Why? Why? Some of the stuff I bought, I'm just dumped money, which is so stupid. Starting to sort of get there. We're about halfway now. Look how long this shit took. When it takes you 10 minutes just to sell it all with an auto fire, that's how you know there's too much items, not enough stuff to make. Oh, no, no, no. Back. Anything Watchtower's got to come back. I didn't realize. Watchtower stuff. Yeah, that's got to come back out. Ooh, game's much better now. Watchtower stuff and Misk. Yeah, Watchtower stuff. Watch Xenofair Tech, but not Watchtower stuff. Is that aid? No, just go to all and just show me Watchtower stuff. I wish you could sort your inventory way, way better, you fucking idiot developer. Okay, so Watchtower components, Watchtower components, Watchtower computer core, Watchtower Intel, which is sweet because I can get another ship that follows me around now. Oh, the rest of it I want to sell. Oh yeah, there's all those notes. We don't want to sell the notes. Yeah, the notes are actually worth something. Oh yeah, the performance of the game is improving significantly. Nice. I should have known. I'm learning the hard way. I mean, I knew all this stuff. It's just been so long, I forgot. But that was it, huh? Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, nice. So all this stuff, though. Ship parts is no good. Okay, we're starting to get back to a place where, you know, where I feel like I'm better now that all those items have... Oh, yeah, wow, the quick save is definitely going faster. The quick save went way, way faster. Nice, nice. So, when I open, and there's no buyback again, which is so cool. And if I need to do anything, I can just buy it. Okay, who cares? So, now we go over here. Please let me through. You really shouldn't block that fucking doorway, you stupid piece of shit cocksucker developer. No! Right as I got there. I should have saved. I think I did, but now I have to sell all that stuff again and put all the watchtower intel and stuff away, but that's alright. Darling Ricky. So annoying. $120. I believe I can put my headphones back in now.
From a bubbly pink pop princess to an edgy dark
I don't really care about this.
Dark and honestly confused.
Why has games disappeared off of my thing? Raptor.
We still got some gaming news to round out the year with some surprise things that might happen in 2026 and way more. So good that you're joining the Sunday news roundup. And let's go. Let's immediately start with quick shots. News stories I will go over quickly, starting with a very sad one. Maybe you've heard this news already, but Vince Zampella has died in a California car crash at the age of 55. He was one of the co-creators of Call of Duty. Under his leadership, Infinity Ward made Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. After that, he and Jason West, the other leader at Infinity Ward, were fired from Activision and denied millions of dollars in bonuses. They sued Activision for wrongful termination and later settled for an unknown amount, but this led Zampella to start Respawn Entertainment, where he worked on the first two Titanfall games, and after that the studio was acquired by EA. Respawn then went on to make Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor, two games very close to my heart, and of course they launched Apex Legends, which is one of the biggest online games ever. After the disastrous launch of Battlefield 2042, Vince was asked to lead the struggling franchise, and we saw the result of that with Battlefield 6, which became the best-selling game of 2025. Vince was responsible for making insanely influential games that also turned into some of the biggest franchises this industry has ever seen. He likely still had many interesting ideas left in him that we will now never get to see, which is very sad. I don't think words can express how big of a loss this is for the gaming industry, and my heart of course goes out to his family and everyone close to him. Of course, super hard to transition from this very sad news. I still just cannot really believe it. But yeah, we're going to shift to lighter news now. Just before the end of the year, 007 First Light has been delayed by 2 months from March 27th to May 27th, 2026. In a post on Twitter, the developers noted that the game is progressing well and fully playable from beginning to
I don't care about this.
End of March. And speaking of Assassin's Creed, we got some series updates. For one, we learned that Johan Rank, the Swedish director behind HBO's Every Sunday. So I saw quite some discussion this week regarding a new job listing for a senior software engineer at Avalanche, the studio behind 26 is Witcher 3 related content, and yes, that's what the rumor roundup this week is about. Here I rate the biggest leaks of the week with stars. 3 stars means I believe it, and 1 means let's take this with a huge grain of salt. So this week a new Polish report added fuel to the fire regarding a Witcher 3 DLC planned for 2026. We've heard about this before, as it's being developed seemingly by Fool's Theory, which is headed by Jakub Rokos, a former quest designer on The Witcher 2 and The Witcher 3. They're also currently working on The Witcher 1 remake. So now we have a new report from the Polish press talking about the fact that a paid Witcher 3 DLC is expected in May 2026. Week will be nothing really, because it's the end of the year. I hope you have an amazing New Year's Eve and of course a great start of 2026. I'll be back on Sunday with a gaming news roundup. I'm curious if there's something happening at the end and start of the year, although there are some rumblings about a Ubisoft hack or something, but it's not like fully confirmed yet. I will keep you posted, and of course I'll have more.
This is all the stuff I saw yesterday. Why is it all this weird stuff? You got 2 million views with this. All that money for what? And you still suck.
Starting on January 1st, 2026, new and existing NVIDIA GeForce Now subscribers will be subject to a 100-hour monthly cap.
Yes, and like most caps, it's kind of complicated. If you don't use all 100 hours in a given month, 15 of those unused hours can roll over into the next month.
Weird.
Yeah, right.
Additional hours beyond that are billed a la carte based on your tier. Performance subscribers pay $3 for 15 hours, and the Ultimate subscribers pay $6 for 15 hours.
What?
That's not the worst, I guess. That's a lot of time for not that much money, but still, getting micro billed doesn't feel good at all. The only exception here is for Founders members. Anyone who subscribed before March 17th, 2021 is exempt from this time cap as long
March 17, 2021.
long as they remain subscribed forever. So you have it in perpetuity until you miss a month or cancel or whatever.
Starting on January 1st, 2026, new and existing NVIDIA GeForce Now subscribers will be subject to a...
If you're a new...
Starting on January 1st,
If you're a new PC gamer, there's a shady concept about buying PC games that you need to know about.
Couldn't you get this better? Siege was hacked. Make that go away. Yes. Why? Okay, previously watched. I don't want to watch previously watched. Why can't you show me something good? Can't you show me something good, filter, from this week? Yep. Hi, kitty. Kitty, get off my keyboard. Ah! You silly kitty. Go. Kitty, your butt's in my face. Watch it. Yep. You're okay, kitty, but you're like kind of annoying me a little bit. Ah, kitty. Just sit down. Just sit down, kitty. Ah. $10 gaming PC. $10. Oh, kitty's having a love attack. I love my kitty. These are so bad. So if I sell, what happens? Oh, that's a good kitty. What is Astra for? Starfield, what is Astra for? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Now the game's glitched, I think. But anyways, so all that Astra, I want to take that to Aquila. Okay. We'll go to Watchtower first, though. loads are way faster. Like the client glitched. Which is annoying. Fucking client fucked up and I can't see where I'm going. So annoying. Hopefully that'll fix like after this load. I do this load over and over and over and over and over again. I never should have modded the game. This load over and over again. And GeForce Now didn't make Starfield that much better either. Whoa. Ah, good. Every time you try and sell here, you crash into the station and it drives me crazy. Divorce doctor. Here you are crashing into this thing again. Are you, oh no, you're landing? Are you landing now? I hope so. You don't really look like you are. Are we landing now? I don't think this NPC can land at this station. It's so annoying. I mean, I don't know. Can you? It kind of seems like you can. No. I'm right back exactly where I was just a minute ago. It took me right back to the exact point. The game obviously really needs work. I don't technically need to do these trader missions. It's kind of annoying, but I mean, I don't need to do these trader missions. is so annoying. Could use the pistol. They like won't let me win now. Hey. Now I'm gonna get up and I want to try and get this to fucking actually just delete all, delete all. Okay. Repeat orders. Buy here. Well, buy here. Nope. Okay, buy here. Then undock. Buy and sell. Hopefully that should be everything I need to do, but I don't know. We'll find out. $30K on Blue Dream. Wow. Just go back and try to show me something.
It's Sunday, December 28, 2025. I'm Anthony Davis. Welcome to the Weekend Show, where we make the time to consider the news of the week. You can support my work and independent journalism at patreon.com/5Minute News. Our guests today are both journalists covering the radical right. Jared, a journalist and senior researcher at Open Measures, whose work on hate and extremist movements has appeared right across the US media. Michael is an investigative journalist and analyst of right-wing populism, formerly with the Southern Poverty Law Center. His first book, Strange People on the Hill, will be published by Bold Type Hachette in 2026. Together, they co-host a bi-weekly news podcast, Posting Through It, where they bring hard-earned context to the stories shaping the far right, on and offline. Jared Holt and Michael Edison Hayden, welcome to The Weekend Show. Your podcast that I've just finished listening to, an episode entitled Cash for Christmas, was rather brilliant in its ability to kind of step back and see how ridiculous some of the drama that America is facing right now kind of really is. Do you, like me, feel that there has been a failure maybe by the media and commentators and even other politicians to kind of laugh these people off the stage because so many of the leadership in the executive branch and beyond are morons?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is as terrifying as it is ridiculous. You know, I think a lot of people hold in their head, like, you can either be this cartoonish villain or you can be dangerous, but I think it can be both. And what we do on the show, I mean, we try to mix a serious analysis of it and the consequences of it with also just letting ourselves admit how ridiculous it is, that we have an FBI director who, you know, is sitting down with the wife of the head policy wonk in the Trump administration talking about how, you know, his secret talent is compartmentalizing. And, you know, what he likes to do is just call up some Uber Eats and smash some Paramount Plus shows, you know, and so it's just, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous that that's who's leading this country right now. But in terms of FBI directors, you know, as far as those go, I'd rather have somebody who's, you know, thinking about Uber Eats and going to eat at restaurants in Las Vegas than somebody who might actually be interested in cracking down on the left the way the Trump administration is fantasizing about.
Yeah, I think that's the main point, Jared, is that if you were concerned about the Trump administration cracking down on leftists, the best thing that could have ever happened to you is Kash Patel, because he's just not motivated at all. As he told Katie Miller on his podcast, on that podcast, he's basically like, you know, I like to go watch hockey documentaries. I like to go to, you know, I like to watch Paramount Plus. I like to watch some sleazy stuff on Netflix. We're going out. We're getting surf and turf every week. That's his mentality.
Yeah.
And his mentality, you know, thank God, because if you see people like Andy Ngo, I don't know how many people in your audience would be familiar with Andy Ngo. He's the guy who's like was assaulted by anti-fascists after, like, quite frankly, he was really provoking the crowd at that time. It was like in 2019. He became a mini celebrity in MAGA that shows like the sort of violence of the left. He on X was repeatedly like quote tweeting and messaging publicly Kash Patel to do something about Antifa, just arrest them all, try to arrest people like me and Jared. And then he went to the White House and was crying, you know, publicly about the beating he suffered several years ago, and saying like this, we need to make them a foreign terrorist organization. The problem for the country is that they've hired this big mass of incompetence. But the good thing for the country is that they're all incompetent and they can't execute a fascist vision like you would imagine, like some sort of Mussolini, like whatever, right?
Right.
They're really struggling to get that going.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's at times like this that you crave boring and serious. And this is a problem right across the world, with a lot of these kind of far-right characters that have found leadership positions. it tends to be because it's in environments where people were just bored with politics or said, oh, they're all the same. And so people like Javier Milei, for example, you know, they kind of grab the attention of society. And it means that you're voting against your own best interests, because invariably these people are completely incapable of you know, organizing a fight in a bar. And we have the same problem in the UK at the moment with a prime minister who is, to all intents and purposes, very good, you know, Keir Starmer, but because he's boring, the chances are he will be voted out in favor of the far-right Trump friend Nigel Farage. So just looking at the world landscape, do you like me feel this kind of concern that these comedy characters are actually they're more interesting to voters?
I think so. You know, there's a lot of valid reasons to be dissatisfied with the status quo in politics, and I think these, you know, as you said, comedic characters, these sort of larger-than-life figures, they're often, you know, if you look at their rhetoric, they're making these larger-than-life promises, right? And I think what propelled the first Trump election, and to some extent again in 2024, is this dissatisfaction with the status quo of politics in the U.S., democratic politics, but we're seeing that around the world too. And, you know, of course, there's also a huge influence of the fact that there are just people in the country that are enchanted by racist rhetoric, or this rhetoric of wanting to do harm to other people that they view as an out-group. But, you know, part of it too is I think these sort of almost laughable figures are just so different that to people who maybe don't follow politics or aren't as informed, they might think, you know, why not? Why not just give this a shot? It sounds crazy and manic and like a bad dream, but as opposed to what? You know, so I don't know. I mean, like with any election, there's a million different factors that all play a contributing role, but I think that's definitely part of it.
Well, this whole authoritarian wave of politics is tied into also this unrestrained free market grift stuff that is, you know, I mean, it's not just like normal capitalism that you would imagine 20, 30 years ago. It's this kind of hyperbolic, crazy version that's tied into crypto and all that, and everybody kind of has given up in their mind of thinking the system is fair, so everybody wants to win at gambling. And I think that's really, you mentioned Milei, that's like a real appeal of him down there. But I think that's an appeal in a place like England as well, where if people feel like discontent about what they have in their pockets. And also I have a question about Farage. Like how would you feel about, you know, sort of answering to a man who is famous in part for hanging out with Cassandra Fairbanks, who is, I guess she has a new name, right, Jared? Like she got married a couple years ago. But Cassandra Fairbanks was like a C-list MAGA influencer who was kind of famous for pretending to be a Bernie supporter for a while and then switching to Trump. It felt very much like an op. And she has like a bunch of monkeys that she dresses in diapers and little children's clothes and stuff like that. And so like, when I think of Nigel Farage, I think of him hanging out with Cassandra Fairbanks and like Jack Posobiec, the piss test influencer. This is rough for me because I don't know about you, Jared. He's kind of like Infowars tier influencer in my mind, Nigel Farage.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
but he is in Parliament, and he does have 5 or 6 seats in Parliament.
You need to stop.
So this is the problem.
Any further.
He has already kind of infiltrated the British political system, and with Elon Musk's money, which looks like there might be investment there too. I lived through Brexit, and so to me that was a kind of huge lesson in the UK, where we were convinced it would never happen, whereas you guys might have been convinced that Trump wasn't going to win in 2016. And yet it happened, and it was like, this is just not right. I mean, the status quo has shifted significantly. The sad thing with the UK is that you might have thought that Brits had learned their lesson from the failure of Brexit to bring the jobs and bring the prosperity that Nigel Farage promised when he said we would take back control. And here we are, nearly a decade later, with the UK really struggling and now looking to blame migrants in small boats for the reason why there are no jobs. So, it's
a
going to
cliche,
happen
but obviously, like Brexit, widely considered the canary in the coal mine sort of thing.
Yeah.
And definitely, I remember very much. Because I was working at ABC News at the time, and I was covering it as a kind of a breaking news politics reporter, and just the anger that people felt, not just in the UK but outside of it, that it could happen, and just trying to figure out exactly who might have been the voters behind it and what motivated them, etc. It was a really huge moment, and I hope that it serves as a warning to kind of stop Farage's trajectory, but who knows.
But could all of this have something to do with the age of the countries? Because obviously, the UK is much more evolved in terms of its constitution, which is so evolved, there's no kind of written copy of it. It's just kind of assumed and understood. And whereas with the US being so young and nubile in terms of kind of countries and political history, that the US is still going to be making the major mistakes that the UK and Europe has made, over thousands of years.
I have no idea. It's, I mean, yes, it's. Americans also have this sort of grandiose mythology about themselves of like American exceptionalism, right? Thinking, if the grass is greener on the other side, it must be here. And I think you see that reflected across media too. It's like when Trump was elected, there was this race in a lot of mainstream media outlets to try to rationalize it. Everything has to be rationalized in some way. Even these cartoonish figures making these just laughable gaffes and mistakes and enacting these horrible, unpopular policies. There's everything. There's this temptation, I think, where people want it to make sense. If that's right. Clear, so you get the pieces like the infamous Nazi Next Door piece in the New York Times, that profile a lot of people criticized, and this sort of search to find a reason or to find legitimacy. And I think if we look out at media today, some of the people that have risen to the top, even as the industry overall has changed drastically, have been the people who have been able to identify people in power, not so subtly referencing people like Barry Weiss here, and have been able to flatter them, rationalize them, and kind of cook up a reasoning behind this, even though the way I see it, the reasoning is just hate and a bigger element, greed.
Well, I think the youth of the United States, as you put it, relative to the rest of the world, I think that factors in the sense that we're getting a real glimpse of what American fascism really looks like. Because, I mean, that word, has been used a lot, but I think we all kind of sense that MAGA is a fascist movement, right? They don't want anybody in power but themselves, and they're willing to do almost anything in order to keep that. But it has these other characteristics, like I said, the grifty crypto stuff and everything else, the silliness of it, right?
Game's running better.
WWE style entrances that they use at TPUSA conference. This is like a very American style thing. This is not the sleek, like German orderly. This is a very different sort of thing. And right. I think that more than anything, and God willing, we don't see this continue for another 10 years. Hopefully, we're able to rein it in, because I'm very scared about where it might go. We certainly see what some of the sick stuff that they're trying to do, like all the blowing up boats, Alligator Alcatraz, the use of Skycat in El Salvador. These are all very worrying trends about where it might go. But this is our first glimpse of what I think American fascism really might look like.
It's very interesting the language you use, which most people use, and it's that, is this a sign of where it might go? But it's already there. I mean, Skycat is a concentration camp, right? So we are using these kind of flags to say, okay, well, this is what will end up happening. But we've kind of passed that point. And as you said earlier, we've maybe allowed ourselves to normalize it a little bit when it is anything but normal. This is the rise of the far right and arguably the Nazification of American politics. I mean, is it fair to say that this is a kind of there is a direct comparison with the Nazification of Germany in the 1930s?
I'll lean on historians. I am not a historian. I've been a reporter and researcher for a long time, but a lot of them are alarmed at the parallels. Certainly economic circumstances are not as dire in the U.S. now as they were during the rise of the Nazi Party in Germany, but a lot of the themes were the same. Is this promise of prosperity, if only we can just deal with this outgroup, a Nazi that was immigrants, Jewish people, and a whole host of other marginalized groups. And I think we're seeing the same. But the point that you make of it kind of already being here, it can certainly get much worse from here if it goes unchecked. But yeah, this sort of, one of my standing pet peeves is the, mainstream media op-ed page column that's like, wow, we're really going in a weird direction. It could get pretty bad, but it is bad. It's horrible,
Right. Well, it's white people invariably who write those articles.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. We are at that point now of show me your papers, and people are having to carry their paperwork. People of color, and people who are even seeking naturalization, for example, being arrested at their interviews. I mean, that is the Nazi kind of behavior that I recognize. And a lot of the reporting does seem to be pretty slow to draw that comparison. But when people like Timothy Snyder have moved to Canada, that to me is a sign that this is very serious.
Yeah, it's serious, but I don't know. I kind of would have wanted him to stick it out a little bit. That's me personally. That's my personal taste. Would have appreciated it. I mean, it's not like I'm not dealing with stress.
Sure. I mean, in his defense, he found a university that would enable him to continue working without fear of being silenced. And I think the point that he wanted to make is that it's easier for him to he's doing a lot more media now than he ever did from the comfort of a Canadian university. Let's just talk about these characters involved, because if we talk about immigration, Kristi Noem has just purchased half a dozen Boeing 737s so she can fly her own deportation flights. Kash Patel's just ordered a bunch of BMW X5s for the FBI. There is a lot of this kind of performative stuff. I think ICE bought a couple of Cybertrucks and kind of branded them up as well. I mean, this is kind of where it's headed. It's like a kind of Mad Max feeling in a way. Just tell me about the kind of the performative nature of it, and where the reality of these abductions and this kind of attitude towards migrants and the hatred of this movement, where that kind of meets the theatricality.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the Cybertrucks. That's more like MAGA capitalism, right? Where it's just sort of pay money to buy the election. Once the election is bought, get the money funneled back to you through a bunch of government contracts. At least that's the way it feels to me. I don't know how it feels to everybody else, but that's pretty bad. And then, you know, as for Kash Patel, I mean, I'm sure he was with the FBI was just like, you know, he's like, yeah, man, let's get some BMWs in here. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Let's do that. You know, but I think that's a lot of the impulses that we're seeing from these guys. It's just like, do something that seems cool, right? It's like Trump like wasted so much time restructuring the White House and then putting a bunch of weird plaques underneath everything just that were shit posts. I mean, the optics of that are only acceptable if people are eating, and I really feel that the economy is on a very thin it's on very thin ice right now, and I don't know if you guys agree with that, but for me, that type of stuff is going to look a lot worse in 2026 if the economy really does take a dive.
But they are lying about the numbers now, so that's what's changed in a way, that there's this idea that we can lie about jobs numbers or just not release the figures, or we can lie about GDP and that will be okay. How is that going to play out when you're completely factually inaccurate about what the economy is doing publicly? Where's the biting point?
I wonder that, right? Because at the end of the day, people still have to go get their groceries.
Yeah.
You know, I buy health insurance on the market and had to switch plans because my premiums went up 80%.
Wow. For
no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Right. I think the economic points, you know, they can promise, you know, I saw Howard Lutnick go on TV and say, you know, the GDP is up 4.5%. And that means that Americans have 4.5% more money, and I thought, man, that must sound awesome if you're dumb. Like, you know,
are they not relying on people?
I still have to go to the grocery store. You know, I have to pay that health insurance I talked about. Everything I buy seemingly is just getting more and more expensive. And at some point, you know, I think I would imagine in a lot of people's heads this sort of performative cruelty, right? Because I think that's what buying the planes, buying BMWs at the FBI, all of that, you know, it's about creating a spectacle out of the cruelty and sort of viciousness of the policies, right? Whether they work or not, whether they are enacting them at the scale they would hope to, they're trying to put on the show because they ran this 2024 campaign on the message of retribution. You know, Biden won in 2020 and this is payback, right? So they have to put on the show of payback. And that's what the voters that elected them want. Is to see the people that they were told are responsible for all of these things, this and that, suffer, and to do it in style with, you know, hype cuts on X, the everything app or whatever. But the economic stuff, at some point, you know, I feel like you can only ride that line so long before people kind of sniff it out.
Right, there's like a flashpoint, yeah.
And that only work, and their like approval ratings are in the toilet too. So it's it's hard for me to imagine that's really gonna work out the way they thought it. You know, the way they seem to hope that it will.
Yeah.
I agree with Jared. I just wanted to contribute also that they are counting on Americans being too insecure to admit to themselves that they're really suffering. Because it's this winner-loser culture, and everybody is like, there's this notorious B.I.G. line where he's bragging about his life, and he says, "Sex and expensive cars" is one of the descriptions, just like part of a line, and it's like, you know, that to me is always America. It's like, oh yeah, I'm having sex and expensive cars. Like, it's just this wish fulfillment, this idea, it's just like everything's just gonna be awesome and big and perfect. And we're going to get this fleet of BMWs at the FBI for some reason. Everything is awesome. Like, and if you're not like that, then there's this insecurity. You want to hide it because you feel like there's something wrong with you. And they're really counting on that insecurity, I think, consciously or unconsciously.
So it's almost like the measure of success not just with the American dream for people, but also for this regime, is that as long as they've got the fast cars and that kind of that image is showing that things are going in the right direction, they'll just have to keep buying bigger and bigger planes and larger and faster cars, I guess. But I think my point is that American people are not as stupid as Trump and his henchmen would like to think they are, and that people have really great instincts for what is right and what is wrong. I read a report yesterday that suggested that people are starting to connect the economic woes with with Trump's failure on climate change, and how that there is this connection. And I was quite surprised by that people realize that there is actually a connection through about inaction on climate. And you know, we've just had crazy weather throughout the US, and yet every weather report I see, nobody mentions climate change. It's like it's been completely banned from any coverage, making that connection. People are like, oh my God, I didn't realize this was going to happen at Christmas. And it's like, we've been talking about this stuff for 40 years. So let's just kind of look at the, you know, as I see it, this kind of rise of the far right that you report on. Michael, is there anything that has happened in the last year of this administration that has shocked or surprised you? You know, have they gone further than you thought they might have done? Or were you kind of predicting that it would be this bad?
I was predicting that they would go after green card holders. I have a lot of green card holders that I know. I mean, I have immigrants on my family all over. I predicted that back in 2016, just because I was really focused on Stephen Miller. But when they did it, I was surprised. So I was saying they were going to do this. So I was verbally saying it, but then I was emotionally surprised. Does that count as something? And I think that, like, it's just sort of saying, like, for years that these people are scary and that they have a really scary agenda, and then actually experiencing it is a totally different matter. I don't know how Jared feels about it.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, I think the degree in which they've disregarded the opinion.
One of my problems with Democrats is they seem to value sounding soft. They seem to all want to look like I don't know. I don't know. The words fail me. I don't know. They all want to look like something, like somebody on television. I can't peg who. I'm thinking fucking, what's his old face on HBO? Religulous. The guy, even though he's kind of almost conservative, really. But they all want to be this like stuffy Professor Ben Stein type dude. And they talk shit about Democrats wanting the status quo all the time, but their clothes, their glasses, the way their beards and their faces are, they look like these fucking pussies to me who you know. I like that they value their softness. I think they understand that softness is okay, and I like that actually about them. I think the right wing will not accept that softness is even something that exists, much less that most people actually strive for it. But, you know, but these people, I don't know, something about them, something about Democrats, they just seem weak to me. Like if they were, like, they're like, I think they think the cops are going to do what the left wing tells them to do. But I think cops always do what the right wing tells them to do. So if they say, go bust Donald Trump now for child sex, and the cops are like, no, are these pussies with glasses going to go tell the cops what to do? I don't think so. And I'm scared that's finally going to enter Donald Trump's head if it hasn't already. I think they're all sort of like, well, the Democrats will never make a force that'll actually make us do anything. Maybe, but I don't know. They'll have to get I mean, maybe the rule of law might get Trump in a jail cell. But if he just says no, are these pussies with glasses going to go make him? I don't think so. Which is why I'm progressive now. I've seen so much goddamn weakness out of the Democratic Party. It's hard for me to see somebody who loses all the time, who looks like he would lose fist fights, who values softness, but they're going up against fascists. It's like, you know, I value softness too, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't see a battle plan here. I see a, hey, police officers, go do our bidding. And when the cops say no, because they're right-wingers, or they wouldn't be cops, what are these fucking pussy nerds gonna do? I don't know. I don't have a plan. I think the fact that we even try to tell them to take Trump to jail might cause a civil war. And I'm not sure anybody will enforce anything the Democrats want. Based on what? Are we going to pay them or something? What will get the cops to put Donald Trump in jail? I don't like, what's the incentive? I don't know. I don't like for them. What's the incentive for the police to enforce Donald Trump's like felonies? I don't know. What's the incentive for them? I'm not so sure. Most of them wouldn't be pigs if they weren't right wing, I don't think. Most times, you know, I think it takes a right winger to even don a weapon. So I mean, like, it's weird that all the military and all the cops might actually already be owned by the right wing, and I'm not sure these fucking brilliant left wing Democrats are actually thinking about how, yeah, 50% of the country is right wing. That's the fucking part. That's the 50% of the country that's strapped up. You know, so if they decide to push us around or tell us that they won't stand with us putting Trump in jail, we're the like dudes with glasses who beg the police to do our bidding, who don't actually offer them anything really. What are we going to do? Offer money? What can we actually do to compel the police to put Donald Trump in jail? I don't think we've put a strong enough Democrat in power that they would respect somebody enough if we asked. I think it would take a civil war. And at that point, we'll have to establish our own power struggle. It's kind of weird. It's like we'll have to do our own regime change if that happens. Because I'm sure as fuck not following any of the current Democrats. Any of the current Democrats except AOC or Bernie. That's it. And even then, those are just populist Democrats. They're not totally amazing people. They did all the status quo stuff too. So it's like, yeah, out of the left, like who would I actually lead? Okay, you know who I would actually follow? Hassan Piker. That's it. Hassan Piker is the only person on the left who I would even follow at all. So like, I mean, yeah, so like if the Democrats try to tell the right wing what to do and tell Trump he's got to go to jail, who in the fucking country has the strength to lead the Democrats and the left to that victory? I don't really think it's Gavin Newsom or AOC. And it's not going to be pussies in pantsuits standing out there in front of their fucking filibuster Congress that does nothing, begging Trump to go to jail and then stamping their foot like little children when he won't. And I'm sorry, but it's like, I think it's going to take some progressive people like Hassan Piker and I to actually get anything done here. And if you don't want Hitler in our, Hitler J. Trump in our fucking face, I really don't know. I don't know, man. Like, is he going to do what you want him to do? I look at you fucking guys, and you think that the rule of law is just going to be followed here by what? Because we made the laws? You think they're just going to follow? They haven't followed the rule of law when we busted them for their 34 felonies. Why would they do it for anything else here? And they're not going to do what you tell them to do. They're going to call our bluff. What do we do then if we start shit with them? They have a power structure. They've got the FBI and the army and the fucking piece of shit president and all his fucking do-nothing fucking right-wing asshole fucking cronies and shit that go crazy, who are racist, who want to kick all the Somalians and shit out of the fucking country and shit. And it's just crazy. And it's like, they have a power structure of hate and right-wing idiocy and Proud Boys and stuff who are willing to point guns at us and pull the trigger. We don't have that. We've got nothing. We've got a fallen apart Democratic Party, and I don't want to talk shit about the Democrats. I'm talking about it's a deep fear thing with me. I just don't see a successful political party here, especially not if we try to tell people what to do. I think we've got to ride it out. And this sounds fucking crazy, but I'm going to tell you and this sounds progressive and right-wing and shitty. But no, I really don't think the Democratic Party has the fucking teeth to tell the Republican Party to do anything at all. Short of killing them, what are they going to do? They won't do anything we say. They didn't go when we told them he had 34 felonies. Why would they go now? How? What are you basing that on? Why? Now that he's guilty of child sex, now he's got even a way, way, way bigger fucking reason to just kill us, you know, just full blown. Just like, oh, I'm not giving up power. Look at how far we got with this. Our fascism's finally here. And that's what you really wanted, didn't you? It's like that old Simpsons joke. A Republican who will rule over you like a king and brutalize criminals and raise taxes. And it's just fucking crazy. And that's what they think we want. No, I don't want that. I want a fucking democracy, you piece of shit. What you're building is not a fucking democracy. I think Hassan Piker and I'm not even sure Hassan Piker's got the fucking strength. I think he does. When I see him at those press things for the No Kings protests and shit, and he's wearing like a bulletproof vest, and he's down on the LA Turnpike the way that I was downtown at the fucking, at the No Kings thing for Bellingham and shit. I think he's got the leadership chops, but he's the only one in the fucking left with the balls or the fucking intelligence to do it. Nobody in the Democratic Party is qualified. I don't even think AOC or Bernie. Bernie's too old, and AOC hasn't been the firebrand that Bernie was. And so, like, what else is left? I will not do an establishment Democrat. Again, my mother's trying to convince me to like Gavin Newsom. I know Gavin Newsom cannot make Donald Trump do anything whatsoever. I don't think these three guys can. I don't think anybody in that Congress can. I've been watching C-SPAN with this desperate shaking hands kind of like, it's scaring me a bit. Because I look and I see nothing but pussies that want to filibuster for the rest of America's like short lifespan. And it's like, I'm sorry, but no, if you really want Trump to go to fucking jail, you're going to have to send the pigs to go do that. If they won't do that, then question their loyalty. If you have to question their loyalty, then push the Civil War. And then push the Civil War and let people like Hassan Piker and I fucking fight it without ever firing a shot. Because it's like, you guys don't have a power structure. I'm not afraid of telling Trump what to do. I'm afraid that we don't have any power to do that with. I'm not afraid of it. I don't think Hassan Piker is afraid of it either. But like, and I'm just like picking some random person. I really don't know. I don't know if any of us have the strength to do it. But I mean, yeah, I feel like I could just drum up some kind of march. I mean, I don't think I could do it. It would take somebody way more established that they would trust more. But I'd like to drum up some kind of January 6th thing that's not violent, where we just was like, we come for one thing and one thing only, to make sure Donald Trump actually goes to fucking jail for the 34 felonies he was convicted for. And I would run on a platform of like, fucking like, not for presidency or anything like that. I'm talking about like I went to jail when I was given fucking tickets. Why doesn't he? And that's something that they did, especially the right wing. You would think that they would appreciate, with how many of them are going to go to jail after this. You would think that they would maybe actually maybe want him to honor going to jail a little bit more, but no, they're like, I think they're all scared of going to jail, so they don't care if he just flaunts it and walks out of the goddamn courthouse without going to jail. They don't care. What power base in the current Democrat Party could tell the right wing to do anything at all besides a filibuster out there in that piece of shit Congress while we wait for the country to fall apart, but we never actually do anything? And it's like, what could we actually get the right wing to do short of go to war? That's the only thing they'll willingly do for us. The only thing this death cult will willingly do for us in anywhere form. They won't send him to jail. They won't stop him raping children. They won't stop him working with all these billionaire child rapists. They won't stop him. They don't care what he does. They don't know that he rolls with Satan, but they don't care that he does Satan's bidding either. They don't know that he rolls with Satan, but they don't know that but they don't see him doing Satan's bidding. So it's just kind of crazy. It doesn't matter that if they know that he's evil or not. It's kind of insane. It doesn't matter. So now, short of essentially forming like a Washington D.C. cell of loyalists to push the fucking, push the Palisades or whatever and get in there and force him to actually attend prison, what the fuck else can we do? And that's going to take basically the same thing we did on January 6th. It's going to take a regime change, which is not fun. That means fighting in at least the Capitol, probably fighting, honestly, because there'll be this diehard
hard row of Proud Boys that'll just stack up outside his goddamn door, and they'll be like, well, if the feds won't protect you, we will. And he'll be like, okay, fine, well, the feds aren't protecting me, so do what you say you're gonna do, and I'll make you kings. And that's what'll fucking happen. And these nasty people with fucking guns, they'll think that he's gonna actually give them something, so they're gonna go fight us. And honestly, they're looking to do that. They spend all day, every day, resisting the urge to come kill us. And honestly, I respect the other side of the country for not doing it. Honestly, I would never vote with them. Fuck the right wing, fuck the Republican Party. I wish to abolish it or whatever. But I do respect that they haven't come to kill us yet. Even January 6th happened, and the only person that died was a police officer, you know? Or well, there was some other deaths too, but I mean like the main person that paid our sins was a police officer, Ashley Babbitt. That's kind of crazy. You can see that the right wing doesn't really want this to fall apart. I think they want to play with their dicks and eat chicken like everybody the fuck else on the planet. It's fucking stupid. So, but if they think that their grasp on power or guns, really, I think this is still about guns. I've always thought this was about guns way back there since 9/11. I think it's about guns now. I think they think we're going to take their guns away. I think they'll do anything to fucking stop that. I don't think Trump's afraid of that. Trump's afraid of losing his money. But the rest of those right-wingers are scared of losing their guns. And honestly, that's all he has to do to tell them is they've come for our guns. They've come to enact martial law while they throw me in prison. They're going to take our guns away. And that's all he has to say to them. They'll march like Proud Boys to the fucking sea and they'll fucking kill us. And that's all it'll take. That's all it takes. And them to ever rabble rouse like South Park and go white, hot shower and all that stupid shit is all you have to say is, oh, they're going to come take the guns away. And they all come, they come bear arms like Ruby Ridge and they'll fight FBI agents and shit. Like we've seen them do it. They'll fight FBI agents at Ruby Ridge before they'll fucking give their guns over. And we're not going to make them try to do that. But I mean, I believe that's sort of what we're asking when we say, will Donald Trump go to jail? That's sort of like asking the Republican Party to put their guns down. I don't believe they will do that. Not unless there's some kind of show of force or we compel them at threat of civil war or something like this. And I don't think we have that power. We don't have the power to tell them to do anything at all. We can only veto. We are the soft side of the yin yang. We are the white side of the yin yang. They are the dark, Sith, Sith dark side of the fucking force. We are the soft side. We mainly lose most of the time until that final war at the end where we orchestrate a very small number of rebels to actually storm the palace and stop Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine from taking over America. We're not known for fighting them in battles and winning, and that was something that you saw in the Star Wars canon universe, which is very seldom throughout the movies do you actually see real fights beyond some rebels trying to stage some kind of coup, because the left is not prepared to fight the right. Maybe in 50 years when some progressives like Hassan Piker and I have been working on people for years and years, but I'm not talking about some willingness for violence. I'm talking about we might have to, and I don't mean like want to shoot anybody. I don't want to shoot anybody, but we might have to stick a shotgun up in Donald Trump's face and march his ass down to the fucking jail cell. I do not believe he's going to go alone. And you guys seem to be thinking that, oh, if we somehow come up with some kind of like prosecution or some kind of decision in the press or even like a regime change, that this guy's gonna go willingly? Yeah, fucking right. You know how pieces of shit like this go. They die in bunkers. We might as well get him before he ends up in a bunker. It'll be way, 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 way worse.
Of courts has shocked
so like
me.
fuck it. Like I don't know. Like so like what's your plan here, Democrat? Do you think you're just gonna go tell these crazy gun nuts what to do? Have you thought about this? These pussies in these fucking suits, you're just as suit dummy or worse than them. Do you really think you're gonna compete with them in a show of wills? I don't think so. I think they're gonna level automatic weapons at you, and you're gonna level glasses at them, and you're gonna pull them off your face, and you're gonna sigh, you're gonna breathe on your glasses like Stephen Colbert and shit, and they're gonna shoot you. I think that's what's actually going to happen. I think you're gonna sigh and pull your glasses. You're like, all right, if you're gonna shoot. I think that's really what the Democrat plan is right now, and I don't think so. I'm not talking about a show of force here. I'm not saying we need to go draw arms. I'm saying that there needs to be some plan how to actually topple this dictator that isn't some trick or some lawfare, and I think it's going to require going down to his office and putting a shotgun against his head and forcing him to go to prison for the 34 felonies that he was
was convicted for in the United States of America. I don't think that's going to happen. Do you see anybody in the Democratic power base with the balls, the power, or even the willingness to do anything like that? I don't think so. I think we've got fascism here for 50 years or more, and I think it's going to take a war that gets Donald Trump's fucking bunker like detonated or whatever by nuclear bombs or whatever. But I mean, like, or whatever, whoever takes over, JD Vance or whatever idiot, some fucking Palantir guy, Peter Thiel or whatever, whoever takes over will have to die in the bunker. They will not kowtow to us. They will not willingly attend jail. They think that we wrongfully lawfared them into that whole 34 felony thing. They will not make him go to jail. What's your plan, Democrat? You think you're going to stick a gun in Donald Trump's face and force his ass to go down to the jail cell, force him to report to jail? They won't even do that to Jeffrey Epstein. Why would they do that to Donald Trump? Like, they didn't make Jeffrey Epstein go to real jail. Why would they make Donald Trump do that? And it's like he's just going to spin in the background. He's going to push his right-wing bullshit. And sooner or later, somebody with some actual cold-blooded, fucked up, like crazy Hitler-esque fucking right-wing fascist dictator, like fucking chops, is going to take over that right-wing podium and shit. And he'll probably kill Trump and Vance to do it. And that's who I'm really scared of, the trouble that travels in threes. And that guy will have no compunction about putting us in camps. That guy, whoever that guy is, these pussies aren't it. Honestly, Trump and Vance to me look like these pussies. They look like just as unwilling to actually do anything. So I'm not that scared of Trump, but I mean, I think in the same way that we don't have enough power to chop off the final black dot of the black side of the yin yang, I don't think they have the power to chop off the white dot of the white side of the yin yang on the left. I just don't think they do. I know they think of themselves as the white side of the yin yang, but I'm sorry, you're just not. You're the Empire in Star Wars and shit. You do shit like kill Jews. We know what the right wing does. We're not fucking stupid. We know what this is about. It's about killing people of color. It's so fucking stupid. That's what it's always about. And so, like, in the current Democratic power base, let's say AOC becomes president and Bernie's her Veep, and Gavin Newsom becomes Secretary of State. Do you really think those three people can get the right wing to do anything at all? Even if they were given the three highest offices in the land, would they actually be able to make Trump and his cronies do anything at all? I don't think so. And I think this is kind of how this. Now I feel like I need to become a Civil War historian, because I'm fairly sure this is how the Civil War started too. I don't think it was slavery or some kind of ideal about slavery. It's this thing about how the Democrats at the time, really it was, I mean, now we're Democrats, but back then we were, the left was Republicans. Then we had the party change and stuff. But back then, the real problem and the real reason that the Civil War started, and I don't think you can convince me otherwise. I think we could say it's slavery, or that people were taking each other's homes or lands or foods, even though they're fellow Americans and shit like this. I'm sure it's like that. But what I really think happened is the left wing realized that they just don't have the power besides pretty flowery speech like the Constitution or the ratifications or the 13th Amendment or any of the amendments to the Constitution, all this stuff. Like, we can speak with flowery speech and we might be able to get right wingers to come to the table willingly, but it's going to take a couple of generations before they're willing to do that. They've tasted fascism now. They're not going to let that go. So, like, in the same way that it started in the Civil War, I'm fairly sure when the left decided that they wanted the slavery thing to end so we could all get our decency back as human beings, the same way we want the fucking, like, the justice for people of color thing to fucking finally end so we can just get about our business of being the good human beings that we are, as opposed to just tearing each other apart over race. And I'm fairly sure the left decided that they needed to tell the right wing that they couldn't have their plantations or slaves or their racism anymore. And then when it came down to it, we killed each other down almost to the last man, because maybe the left might be willing to fight the right,
But we're not the ones who pride ourselves on knowing how to do that. They are. They're the ones who like guns and like battle and are a death cult and would prefer war and want us at war, probably with them, honestly. And so, like, why you seem so willing to try and tell these crazy gun nuts what to do is beyond me. It scares me, frankly. I'm sure Hassan Piker feels the exact same. Do you really think if we say, Donald Trump, it's time to go to jail now for raping that little girl, Virginia Dufresne, do you think he's going to go? I don't think he's going to go. Then what? Then it becomes this dick measuring context where we've thrown down and we've drawn our lines in the fucking sand and we made our accusations and stuff. We won't stand by this motherfucker anymore. We'll kill him first or whatever. That won't be good because they're the guys who march all day and fight their like God-given desire to kill everybody with guns. They fight that urge all day long. The right wing kills their weird, sick death cult urge. Their weird, shitty warmonger right-wing fucking war, poormonger fucking like urge to just go to war and kill everybody. They constantly suppress that bloodthirsty ideal that they've got. But I mean, you want to know how they suppress that bloodthirsty ideal? They spend our money on defense budgets, and they promise themselves that a war is coming soon. That's how they go. A few years since the last Afghanistan, is they say, oh well, we've been spending billions of dollars on a war budget, so the war's coming. Don't worry. There's no way we would ever spend all this money on bombs, drones, and guns unless there's a big war coming or whatever, right? So it's just insane. And I really do believe this about them. And so yeah, like they want their war. Do you want to give it to them? The answer is no. So how do we go about the business of, and I swear to God, it's as tricky as this, and I'm going to say it like this. How do we trick the reptard fucking idiot ass right wing how to come to the fucking water and drink willingly? How do we trick them to do it? We have to convince them that there's some kind of grift or money in it, or some kind of God thing, like God's gonna frown on them if they don't, or something like that. I feel like I myself personally was the only one besides Hassan Piker who got any fucking sway during the battle for Los Angeles the second time when it was like No Kings 1 and No Kings 2. I kept saying in a chat with 45,000 Americans in it, and fucking like a YouTube chat with 45,000 people in it, I was like, love thy neighbors, love thy neighbors, love thy neighbors. Now, I believe in that. I believe in that, and I was taught that in a church when I was a child and stuff, like most Americans or whatever, and I believe that fucking message. But what I really believe is that the right wing forgot that message. I believe far more that the right wing forgot the most important message there is, the golden rule, the golden principle, do unto others, love thy neighbors. I'm fairly sure the right wing forgot that shit. Now they've got a war against people of color, people who are poor, people who are on drugs, people who are homeless, people who are Russian, people who are Ukraine, people who are Jewish, people who are fucking Palestinian. It doesn't matter what the fucking target is, as long as there's people at war and people suffering and guns are being fired. I'm fairly sure the right wing's actually absolutely happy. It's the only way you can mollify the goddamn death cult. And no, I'm not saying this to insult them or even like I'm telling you what I actually really fucking think about them. I don't care if it hurts their fucking feelings. I'd rather just mollify them and reach a 50-50 agreement where maybe we can all stay together and still be unified, but I don't think so. I think they have to go make their own America so they can constantly go to war like North Korea with fucking everybody. I think they are North Korea. I think North Korea is a perfect example of what the fucking Trump movement actually is, and I think that's what's going to happen to them too. And they're going to piss off Korea, they're going to piss off China, they're going to piss off all these other people, they're going to go to war with people for their oil all the time. And they think that us, the left, are going to go fight their fucking wars when they do that. That's not happening, bitch. I spent all of my fucking life avoiding war, and I'm not doing it for your fucking ass. I'll do it to make sure you go to jail. I'm not going to war so you can fucking attack Afghanistan or Venezuela, or what else did you do? You attacked, you had a Christo-fascist thing in Africa now. What was that? That was Nigeria. You like Christo-fascisted in the name of Christo-fascists in Nigeria, and I'm sorry, but I know you would love to dictate policy in Nigeria, but we just are not Nigerians. We are Americans, and you have no business over there, Trump. I do not value anything you have to say about Nigeria. Not have you ever even been there? I'd be surprised. Maybe. Maybe he's been there. Yeah, I'm sure as president, maybe he's been there. But I doubt President Trump's ever even been to Nigeria. I doubt he even knows what the language is. I doubt he even knows what their exports are. I guarantee it. Why he's going to war with them is just proof more that the right-wing death cult needs more blood for the goddamn blood god. And they fucking joke about that shit all goddamn day. What's the jokes that you hear? Blood for the blood god. Murder hobos. Lots of murder hobos, right? Like, be a good murder hobo. They talk about murder hobo all the time. They talk about getting murked all the fucking time. Weird shit like this. Weird death cult shit that they talk about all the time.
The first Trump administration's big bragging lines.
They're okay with all the gangs. They were way more gung-ho to kick all the Mexicans out of the country as opposed to actually ending all the gang problems that we've got in this country. That was a way higher problem than the fucking border. Way worse problem than the border is the fucking sheer amount of organized goddamn biker gangs in this country. Not just biker, but also like cartels and just organized motherfuckers. We're not talking about Tren de Aragua, motherfucker. We're talking about crazy white bikers and shit like this, you know?
Is that they had appointed...
Not just that, but like the drug dealers are mostly white. Most of these child smut peddlers are white. A lot of these problems are fucking white, but you want to blame it on everybody else.
So many federal judges, you know, and I thought, okay, well, that'll pay dividends, right? But even some of those judges have been telling them,
right, that's all. That's my little half an hour rant about where we are today at the end of 12/29/2025. Because I swear to God, looking at the calendar here, we've got about 3 days till the new year. Yeah, it's like 30, 31st, 1st, and I swear to God, I feel I would be very happy if we made it. I feel like these 4 days are the hardest 4 days of the fucking year, and I'm scared we're even gonna make it because this is when budgets reset. This is when people get really scared that they're not gonna make it through to the summer. That the winter needs to be addressed now. And that's how wars start and stuff. And the next like 4 to 10 days is going to be so scary to me. I think we're going to be fine. I'll state my fucking opinion here. I believe that nothing is going to happen except fascism. I don't think the fascism's going to be fast. I don't think it's going to be scary like World War II. I think it's just going to happen very slowly. We'll just lose all of our privacy and all of our rights slowly, you know. But I don't think anything's going to happen. And I'll be honest about this. I think white people are so goddamn crazy, lazy, and greedy that the one thing you can really say about them is that nothing will happen. That would imply that they do something. And I don't think they do. I think they sit around in committees doing their little shitty filibusters while they steal money from other people. I know it sounds racist, but I mean, consult the grifter party if you don't believe me.
You've got to...
As they sell their body pillows to your children.
You've got to get out of Chicago. No, you can't do that. And
yeah, try and get out of Chicago when the shots are fired. That's not going to happen. Maybe if you've got a motorcycle and you're on the outskirts and you're in a full metal armor that's like bulletproof, and maybe you've got a flamethrower kind of like Lethal Weapon 4 or something like that, you might be able to fight the fucking crazy rush that's trying to get out of the city and stuff. Your odds are going to be higher than everybody else's, but remember, they aren't going to have motorcycles like you. So when they see you riding around on a motorcycle like that trying to leave the city limits of Chicago after the apocalypse, they're going to take your motorcycle from you. So this weird plan about surviving the apocalypse that you start isn't gonna fucking work. Let me guarantee you. You're not gonna make it through like some crazy fucking martial law. None of us will. We'll fucking die. And on that wonderfully positive note, please do not enact martial law. Please do not start a civil war. Please do not try to tell Donald Trump to do anything at all. Just let him age out naturally, and then threaten JD Vance. JD Vance is an actual pussy. Donald Trump was just, was able to pay non-pussies to do his business all of his life. JD Vance didn't have that luxury. JD Vance is actually a pussy that we can push around, but Trump was able to buy his balls his entire life. So I wouldn't really call him a pussy. You can't really shove him around, So bring him to that water willingly. Does he really want the country torn apart right down the center of fucking Queens? Because that's what'll fucking happen. If Donald Trump causes a civil fucking war, we will tear the fucking city apart right through the center of Queens, and we'll ruin that little city he loves so much, and we'll burn his tower. So I'm not sure you really want that piece of shit. Get the fuck out of office.
And the administration.
Do it willingly, or we'll tear your little precious city of Queens the fuck asunder, and we'll burn your tower to the fucking ground like Jeffrey threatened to do to your little childhood fucking, rape friend.
And has been sending these hacky lawyers and essentially saying,
I mean, she wasn't your friend. I just mean you're a fucking rape victim. Your childhood rape victims.
So what? Who cares, right?
You want to threaten to burn rape victims' houses down with your little best buddy, fucking piece of shit Epstein? I'll threaten to burn your fucking shitty tower down right in the center of fucking Queens. Show your father's legacy to Queens then, bitch.
And that's a real stress test in a democracy.
That's what I'll do if you start a civil war. I'll tear Queens and your tower and your fucking Mar-a-Lago apart. I'll tear it apart. That ballroom of yours, I'll burn it. Anything you've ever valued, I'll fucking burn. I'll burn. You understand? Only if you fuck with us. If you push it any further than a lark or anything like that. Like, when you started this presidency the second time, I was like, please don't be a dead slot. Now I'm begging you to be a dead slot. 1 year in later, 1 year has passed, and I'm begging you to be a dead slot because I know what'll happen if you don't. Bye.
Democracy. If the courts don't mean anything.
I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Going to bed. It's 2:45 in the morning. You've been watching Skycat Live. I'm going to stop this video here, after threatening the right wing. I am Skycat Live. Click on the cast face to donate. Come to the Twitch or the YouTube. Give me a like, sub, or follow. I will fight you if you fucking fuck with me, so don't fuck with me. And not that I want to. I don't want to. I don't want to fight my fellow Americans. I just want decency and freedom and the pursuit of happiness for all. Give us you're tired, you're poor and hungry, like we inscribed right on Ellis Island, and and take your fascism and shove it up your fucking pig donkey ass, you fucking piece of shit. Fuck you.